Welcome to Behind the Badge. This podcast aims to improve the health and well-being of frontline workers. Each episode features candid conversations with former and current frontline community members and subject matter experts. Join us as we explore the unique nature of serving in high-risk roles, sharing inspiring stories of resilience, strategies, and resources. We are not qualified health professionals, nor are we aligned with any organization. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely our own. Additionally, the content may evoke strong emotional responses for some. Listener discretion is advised.
I don't wanna promise that we have an answer, and I don't wanna promise that we know the way. I just wanna bury the guilt of the nature like a tidal
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. I'm Josh.
I'm Jason.
How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Really good.
Good.
Looking forward to today. Our guest is an ex-law enforcement officer. He did 13 years with the Queensland Police Service, the majority of that being as a dog handler within the canine unit. He left that role due to some mental ill health and forged a successful corporate career. And these days finds himself as a high-performance coach speaker, helping people to basically reach their full potential. He's also an author and podcast host. Absolute pleasure to introduce Shaun O'Gorman.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, mate.
Anytime. Pleasure's all ours. What we might do, Shaun, as we touched on in the intro, you've done a fair bit throughout your life, but we might rewind and go back to the start of your timeline if we can.
Yep.
And talk about sort of your upbringing.
Sure, mate. I was born in 1970, so a long time ago, in Brisbane. Grew up in Zilmere on the north side of Brizzy. Mum and dad, both good, strong Irish Catholic background. So my old man was a cop for many years, 42 years, very well respected in that. Mum worked in the government for many years. So mate, just a very normal sort of lower middle class upbringing. Mum and dad divorced when I was 12. Dad wasn't around a lot before that, was always working in the cops. And then made high school, as per a lot of people who do the jobs that I did and you guys do. I hated it. It wasn't something I enjoyed at all. So I was always just desperate to get out of school, get to the academy, get in the cops, start having fun. So I didn't do a lot of work at high school, failed. I got suspended for the last couple of weeks of grade 12 for being a smart ass, so did no study, failed my final exams. Had to go work in a factory for a while and got a job in a law firm and went to night school and got back and got in the cops. And then, from there, 13 years in the job, loved it. Dog squad for 9, which was amazing. Left with PTSD and depression. Battled suicide when I was 32. I'm now 55 nearly. Then the last 20 odd years has been absolutely about trying to drag myself out of the hole. And as I started doing that, like when my daughter was born, I got 2 girls who were almost 20 and 17. But when I started doing that, I realised that I started to learn a bit of stuff that was going to help me in my life, but it seemed to be able to help other people. So hence how I ended up with the Strong Life Project, which is my business, and how I ended up getting to that point of being able to help other people. So that's a super short version of a very long story.
When you said the last 20 years of dragging yourself out of the hole, potentially, like a lot of people might hear that and go, well, I've got 20 years of hard work that potentially I've got to do. Is that because there was nothing around for you to what you're doing now obviously might fast track someone's recovery?
Yeah, definitely.
Opposed to what you potentially didn't get?
Well, mate, if you go back then, I left in 2002 and I did a little bit of personal development stuff trying to find, the way out with psychs and whatever. It didn't really stick with me. In 2005, I just started really understanding that there was so many commonalities in my life that I was the common denominator of the problems. My marriage wasn't great, conflict with people, like a whole lot of other things. And certainly wasn't linear or easy, but I started to realise I was the problem in many aspects. And you're right, like the internet wasn't really a big thing, to be as weird as that sounds now. So, I certainly didn't have my phone with YouTube and all these sort of things on it. So, I went to retreats. I did all these happy clapper bullshit courses that I hated with people that I had to go and sit in a room with 300 people. I wanted to hang myself. I hated every minute of it. But I kept finding things that pushed me out of my comfort zone. If I liked it, I knew it wasn't going to be the right thing because I like drinking piss and sticking my head in the sand. So when I got to the point now, and it's a really good point, Jando, because I think it doesn't take people 20 years. Like I work one-on-one with high-performance clients, CEOs, business owners, and it can take 6 months. You can literally make a huge difference in your life in 30 days if you're prepared to do the work. And they are super simple things that I talk about: sleep, nutrition, training, meditation, journaling, and then podcast, books, educating. Like it's so simple, but most people just don't do it. And it's, to me, it's been a hard road because I do feel in a lot of ways I've had to sort of carve the path myself in some regard. But these days, like I learn things so easily and so quickly, and I don't need to do it anymore because I'm really happy. But I also I have a personality now. I go, why would I stop? If I'm this happy now, 12 months ago I thought I was really happy. Now I'm like, geez, I'm so much happier. Life's more peaceful. I make better choices. I've got better relationships. I just don't have any, no pun intended, but I just don't have any bushfires burning in my life. Whereas I used to light fucking fires everywhere. In a not like a rural fire guy. I mean, I'm joking, obviously. I'm being sarcastic, but in the sense of you look at it and just think, I just caused myself so many problems, and it was because I couldn't get out of my own way to understand that it was about how I reacted to things. I certainly had some challenges, but I joined the cops. I joined the dog squad. I did it the way I did it. Nobody forced me to. I'm not a victim of it. I hear a lot of police, and probably fire is the same. I know military guys and girls I spend a fair bit of time with are the same, where we get all sad and upset because the institutions don't look after us. But we all willingly chose to join. Now, should they be better? 100% they should be better. Is that going to change anytime soon? Probably not. So people need to take that personal responsibility. And mate, I was 35 before I started. I'm 55 now nearly, and I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I don't regret any of it. But I think if I could have found someone like me 20 years ago or 30 years ago to be doing the education to prehab myself to that stuff, life could have been a lot easier. Hence why I do what I do.
So on that, Shaun, you said that you up until a certain point you were your own worst enemy.
Totally.
And then at one point you've had to have that look in the mirror, hold yourself accountable. What was the catalyst for that?
Birth of my daughter. So my first daughter, so I got two girls, like I said, love them to death. My first daughter was born in 2005, and I was in the delivery room, and I remember it so vividly. Her mum and I, we always had a pretty challenging relationship. I'm in the delivery room with her. We both desperately wanted kids, so it was such a happy time. And she was born. I really wanted, and she knows this, so she won't. Well, she'll probably need therapy for other reasons, but not for this, hopefully. But she, having me as a dad wouldn't be easy. But I desperately wanted a son because I wanted to raise him in my own egomaniacal self-image, I now understand. Teach him to fight and ride dirt bikes and whatever. And when she was born, she had a thing called meconium, I think it's called, where they swallow the embryonic fluid from the sac. So she couldn't breathe. So she comes out, I cut the cord. I'm trying to look to see whether it's a boy or girl, can't see. They take her off and put her in a humidity crib. Like they had to suction her throat. So it was a bit scary. Put her in the humidity crib for a period of time, like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm not sure. And as they're walking away to put her in the humidity crib, the doctor or the nurse or midwife, whoever goes, oh, congratulations, it's a beautiful baby girl. And in my head, I was like, oh, fuck. Because I really wanted a boy, and I was disappointed. That's not proud now. I look back at it, and that's just how self-involved I was. Like, it was all about what I wanted for me. Like, it was so putrid. And then, like, I went to a mum, oh, it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then they brought her back to us, and her mum was in the sort of next phase of birthing. So they gave it to her briefly for maybe, a minute or so, and then they gave it to me. So she's all swaddled up, this tiny little thing, gives it to me, and I sit in this armchair in the corner of the delivery suite. And everyone's looking after her mum. And I'm sitting there and I look down at this little kid and I was like, fuck me, I've got to get my shit together. Because I love my old man to death and my mum, but, there's, I have opinions of what they could have done better or whatever, as we all do. And I looked down and I thought, I'm not going to be the same dad my dad was for me. Now, I love Dad. He's a great guy. He had his own challenges. He came from a pretty tough upbringing. But I'm like, I want this kid to know I've got her back 100% all the time, blah, 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 and I am a fuck up. So, and, I was in a successful corporate career. It wasn't like I was, living on the street in a cardboard box or something, but I was smashing coke and eckies pretty hard. I was drinking hard after I left the police, self-medicating, hadn't dealt with any of the PTSD stuff. And I was looking at her going, I am not going to pass this shit to my daughter. Then she was the absolute best thing that happened to me because I had to soften. If I'd have got a son, it would have been a freaking nightmare. It would have been a disaster. Then my second daughter was born in 2018, and they are absolutely still and have always been the motivator for me to keep pushing to be better, because I just want to set them up to be the absolute best they can be and be the best dad I can be. And it's worked pretty well. We've had some horribly rocky times, and Mum and I got divorced, went through family court. They didn't spend any time with me for like 5 years until about a month ago. My 16-year-old, nearly 17-year-old's come back and spending some time. My older daughter's still not. We have intermittent contact that's good sometimes, and she'll be distant for a period, and that's her mum and I have those challenges. That's the reason. My opinion. They might have another reason. But my 16-year-old is, since she's been back with me, it's great because it's actually solidified and really, not justified's the right word, but it's definitely confirmed for me that I've been doing the right things. She's a funny kid. She's my personality, which is terrifying, and I love it as well. Her and I joke with each other all the time, and I guide her. I don't tell her because I know me. So I go to her, hey, Dale, I love you. You're amazing. If you do this, this will be the consequence. If you do that, that'll be the consequence. I got your back either way, but it's your life. I said, I will always look after you, but I'm not going to save you. I go, so you know my life or, parts of it. And she goes, yeah. And I go, I fucked up a lot of things. I said, you are me. She goes, yeah, I know. And I go, that's not necessarily a great thing. I said, if you use that for good, it's great. If you use it for bad, it's fucking destructive. And she's like, yeah, I know, Dad. And I got a message from her, and she's not a scholar by any means, same as me. She texted me this morning and goes, fuck, I got 15 out of 20 for my maths assignment from last year. I was like, babe, that's amazing. That's 75%. She goes, yeah, but I worked so hard, I'm really pissed off about it. And I'm like, what a great kid. Her sister's studying nursing at uni and smashing it, works hard. They're both great kids, despite their mum and I. And a big part of that is, I think, because I had to learn how to be more vulnerable, emotionally connected, influential, not tell them what to do. So that's been a huge advantage.
It's scary when you talk about that. I could have almost been sitting in the ward next to you, because that's exactly what happened with my daughter.
Wow.
Induced the meconium, and we had everybody coming in the ward. Even the janitor pushing a broom around. I'm just going, dude, what are you doing in here? And it was scary. It was, but exactly that. And I was the same. I didn't paint the room because, I didn't want to buy the pink paint. I wanted to buy the blue paint. Yeah. And I thought I'll hold off. And I, to this day, will say I'd have another daughter tomorrow.
Oh man, 100%.
Yeah. And just levelled me out. Not that I was, some sort of rogue, but when you tell a story about, wow.
Definitely softens you up, hey?
Oh, mate, definitely. Have you got a daughter as well?
Yeah, exactly the same story. I think we're all the same, hey? Yeah. Like you want the boy, you want to, raise them in your footsteps, as you said, sort of, Shaun. But then, when that daughter comes along, it's, something else.
And I think what it did for me, like, I don't profess to be a hard man at all, but I certainly was pretty emotionally stunted. And that definitely, I had to open up more. Like, I was always a pretty emotional person, but I wasn't emotionally intelligent or aware, I don't think. So I look at them and think, God, it just has made me such a better person, because if I had a son, I would have been way too hard. There's no doubt about it. And even my mum said that to me. And I look now and think and it's all very woo-woo, but I look and I think shit comes along in your life, and if you take advantage of it, I don't think it's predetermined. But that was a sliding door moment for me where I was like, you know what, now it's got to be different. And any of the guys or girls who are listening to this, if your life sucks, there will be a point that you choose will be your rock bottom. And if you think it's bad now and you don't choose it, it'll get worse. And that whole not making decisions, making a decision. And I knew for years I needed, like it was at least 10 years I should have been doing something to be a better functioning human from my mid-20s when I was 4 or 5 years in the cops. I was in shooting and there was some other things, like a lot of violence and stuff. So I was definitely being impacted, but I just pushed harder, worked harder, buried it. But when they were born, it was like I couldn't hide from it anymore. And unfortunately, I'd already made the decision of the relationship I was in, got married to the person I did. And like, we should never have been together in a million years. And Mum and I just are like, we're oil and water. But that was all just taking easy options. It was just, and for her too, I'm sure, we just sort of met, we're both together, everybody's getting married, you sort of get swept up in the old aisle. And all my mates were cops or ex-cops, all their relationships were dysfunctional. So I was like, oh, this is just what you do? Like, now I'm like, God, it's crazy.
Was when your daughter was born, were you still in the police force? Or
No,
you'd
I
left
was
the
out.
police force?
I was out for about 3 years,
Yeah.
3.5 years. Yeah. So I was worse out than I was in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was in, you still, like, there's still the, number one, like I took cocaine and ecstasy when I left the cops. I was hanging out with a guy who used to play NRL. I wouldn't have touched that when I was in the cops because I go that, for 1,000 reasons, but the integrity of it is the main one. So when I got out of the police, I lost the identity and stuff, which was very, very impactful. And then I just went searching for that in the corporate world. Like, I did well in the corporate world, but I hated it because it had no purpose. But then it was just went right off the reservation for 2 or 3 years. And then she was born. I'm like, if my daughters weren't born, I'd be dead by now, no doubt. Either suicided or something stupid for sure.
I think the fact that you had that realisation, a lot of people may not, like you said before, your rock bottom would be different to someone else's rock bottom, but some people don't recognise rock bottom and will continue on that destructive path. Whereas when you had that light bulb moment of, I've got a little girl I've got to look after, and I think fortunately,
Well, and Jendo, the thing that I always want people to understand, I had that sliding door moment or light bulb moment in 2005, but then it was not a linear process. Then I had plenty of other stupid decisions I made and bounced back, and other bad things and bounced back. So it's like looking at your heart rate on your heart rate monitor. It's ups and downs. Like, it's never linear. And I heard a good thing I was listening to a video today, and they said life is about ups and downs. If it's all one line, you flat line, you're dead. Like, that's the analogy. Like, it's got to be ups and downs. And I think we're just in a place in society now where we expect it should all be fucking roses and unicorns and #blessed on Instagram. It's just not reality. Life's going to be tough.
And I think that's, when you talk about the recovery phase, people have that same thought that, this will be easy. I'll go in and address the issue and I'm going to be fine in 2 weeks' time. And I think having listeners hear your story to say that it wasn't fine.
No.
There was up and downs but like you say, 20 years later on, you're the much better person, than you were.
Absolutely.
So.
Mate, I wouldn't change, and it sounds so cliched, I would not change any of it. I skipped over the childhood stuff. I had a good childhood, don't get me wrong, but Dad wasn't around, so I struggled with, probably a bit of depression when I was a teenager. We got a good Irish Catholic family. My pop served in Papua New Guinea in World War II for 5 years, and my nana was raised in an orphanage, and they had 11 kids and fostered 4. So there's a fair bit, in my opinion, of sort of undiagnosed mental health, depression, the good Irish Catholic stuff in that. We're physically healthy, good as gold. Like, I've had one uncle die, and he was in his early 80s and he'd never looked after himself. So, like, we don't have a lot of health issues, but there's definitely, anxiety, stress, whatever. So I go, it's been something that it's also just understanding who you are, right? Like, I certainly had once I get that, I'll be happy mentality for years. And if that was the cops, then I got there and it wasn't that. Then it was the dog unit. Then I got in the dog unit and I'm like, well, that's not it. Then it was this car, that girlfriend, this whatever. And now I'm like, there is nothing that I need or want in my life that's going to make me happier. And I live a really simple life. Like, I've got a twin cab truck that I've got a Belgian Malinois, like a German Shepherd that's on crack that, is my pet that I train. I've got a cage in the back of my ute, twin cab ute, I can't let go of the dog squad. And I drive her around, we train and do whatever. I hang out with my daughter. I've got, some great friends I hang out with. I love my job because I get to help people all the time. But it's really simple, mate. If you see me walking down the street, I just look like I'm just some dude in shorts and t-shirt and, going and training. I don't love training. That's bullshit. I love the result of training. It's just vanity. I do it because I want to be able to wear my little brother's t-shirt when I go out. But I wish I was joking. That's absolutely true. But it's the thing to go. There is nothing outside of you that's going to fill that void in you, and it's so Dr. Phil and so Freudian. But And people are struggling today more than ever, I believe, because we've been sold this pup where it's like, get this thing, you'll be happy. Do that thing, you'll be happy. And it's just not true. Like, I've got clients who are worth tens of millions of dollars. They're fucking miserable. And if you don't have money, you think it's money. If you don't have a good partner, you think it's a partner who loves you. If you're fat, you think it's being fit. If like whatever. And I can tell you, I've dealt with so many people, and it is absolutely the only thing that makes people happy is when they do the work to love the person they are. As weird as that sounds. Like, it's a woo-woo thing to say, but it's true.
Just making that that investment into yourself and putting the time and the effort into yourself rather than into other things or other people. Is that sort of
the distractions, mate?
Yep.
Because you go, and it's just doing the work. There is no simple answer. There's no panacea. There's no one size fits all. There's no magic pill. You know, and this, again, I'm not criticising anyone I say this. Look at the example of Ozempic now, the weight loss drug that's come out, you know, pretty recently. And there are certainly some people who I can see would need that to kickstart the process. They might be 100 kilos overweight and just there's so much, I feel for those people. But there's people who are 10 kilos overweight that take it. And the problem with something like that is there's a lot of research around lottery wins, for instance, and depending on the research, there's different stats, but roughly 80-ish or 85% of people who win the lottery are in a worse financial position within 2 years of that win. And I heard the other day, 64% of people who win the lottery end up bankrupt because you're not changing the behaviours that put you in the place of financial stress. You're not changing the behaviours that put you in a place of, you know, carrying a lot of weight. And I use physical fitness and health as an example because it's quantifiable. You can't weigh your self-worth or value. You can't weigh your emotional health. But it's the same thing. We want these easy wins. One of the things that always absolutely astounds me, I used to love drinking alcohol. It was like a friend of mine said to me years ago, and he used the wrong word, I think, but he said, it doesn't matter what you do it to an elite level. Now, I think he meant extreme. But he said an elite level. He goes, if you're drinking piss, you're drinking it to an elite level. If you're going to destroy your life, you're doing it to an elite level. If you can do something positive, you do. And I go, that's a pretty accurate assessment. So I stopped drinking 9 years ago altogether over a period of time. And I'm like, that was the best thing I ever did. And you think I'm astounded that is the thing that most people are the most shocked by. They go, what, you don't drink like at all? I'm like, no, that's what not drinking means. They go like, you don't even like have a glass of wine with dinner? I go, no. Why? I go, because I know my personality. I don't have 2, I have 200. I don't do a little bit of anything. People can't even give up drinking alcohol that we all know is not good for us. And I'm not anti-drinking. I go, do you? But it's a simple thing. I have clients that I work with and I go, I want you to get off the piss for 12 weeks. Oh, I couldn't do that. I go, you haven't even tried. You know, and I heard a thing the other day, it was a Tony Robbins thing actually, and he goes, I'm amazed when people say to me, oh, I've got, 2.5 years sober or 12 weeks sober from drugs, alcohol, whatever. He goes, and I ask him, like, is this so you can tell people how far you got next time you fail and go back? And I was like, fuck, what a good point. So we're looking for all this external validation stuff. Instead of go, every day do the work. There's no other answer.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think we live in a society of that belief of quick fix.
Totally.
There is a magic pill. There is a silver bullet. There is a Ozempic or there's an easy solution or a shortcut for most things.
I get sucked into it constantly on Insta. Like it'll spit me up something about like some health thing or a longevity thing or something else, and it'll go, hey, take this the root of the fucking ginseng tree and you'll live 10 years longer. And I go, oh, that looks good. Then I open it. I go, what are you doing, you moron? Now, and I take supplements and things. Don't get me wrong, but I go, that it's just that we are 98.8% the same DNA as chimpanzees. We're just monkeys. That's all we are. We're chimpanzees. Monkeys and chimpanzees, different things, but you get what I mean. We are just so in our basis of our personality, we are trying to avoid discomfort and pain. Because go back 100,000 years, that meant death. If you were too cold, you died. If you didn't have enough food, you died. If there was violence, you died. So we are hardwired to sit on the couch and do fuck all and never push ourselves. But we're in a world where that is so detrimental because we have such, all the stuff we know. Where you can literally on your phone get anything you want delivered to your house, you never even have to leave. So we have to be pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable. I do ice baths and shit. I hate it. I do saunas, I train, I do whatever, and I go, I hate all of it. Like tomorrow morning, I'm going for a 10K hike with a mate of mine around Mount Cootha in Brisbane here, who's 35 and a fit dude, and we'll wear weight vest. And he goes, let's go at 5 a.m. And I was like, yeah, cool. And I'm like, fuck it, I want to go. And I guarantee you tonight I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't because, and I'll come up with some story. But I do it more often than I don't. Sometimes I don't do shit. But I do it because I go, I know it helps me and I know I feel better and I know at the end of it I'll be like, that's awesome. But a lot of us, like I was fortunate that I got to a place of extreme pain really early. So in my early 30s, that I was just like, that's why I wanted to end my life. I'm like, I can't live like this for another 50 years. Now at 55, I'm like, fuck, I want to live to 110. That's my goal because I'm so happy. Like and I don't think most people get to that.
Short of experiencing that pain, what advice would you give to someone who hasn't yet reached that? Like, what's the number one thing you'd say to sort of develop that same mindset or outlook that you've developed?
Use other people's stories, like people like me, other people, like I do it, like whether it's like a David Goggins or, he's a very famous one, but I look at other people's stuff and go, oh yeah, wow, that girl was in a horrible place. Now they're super happy. What do they do? And then I mimic it. Like find people that you find inspiring and I'm not putting myself in that. That sounds very fucking wanky. But find people that inspire you or motivate you and even motivate's a bit weird because motivation's, fleeting. But find something that inspires you or drives you. You go, I really want to be like that person. And whether that's fitness, health, like whatever it is, emotional health, confidence, as a parent, as a whatever. I've got people that I look at, we're the sum total of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Everyone knows that. So I look and I go, who are those people? They're often people on podcasts and things for me that I listen to and I look at and I go, they're epic humans. And if you're not in a lot of pain yet, awesome. Because you're not, it's like going, I'll start, which is a classic thing we all do, I do. I only stretch and do mobility when I've got an injury. Like if my back's tight, I go, fuck, I've got to do some, and I know exactly the minimum amount of stretching and trigger balling I can do till my back clicks and it's good for another 2 weeks. Now, if I was smart, I'd do 20 minutes of stretching every day. But I go, you can't flex stretching. What's the point? So I don't do it. Now, I know I should, but I haven't got to the point of pain in that. But it's also I'm doing enough of it to keep me good. So look at yourself and go, parents are a fantastic, I think, litmus test or fantastic. Look at your mum and dad, you're probably going to be a version of them. Probably, most people. And if they're not living the life you want to live, then you better do something different than they did. Look at, if you're a fiery, and you're looking at guys like our age, Endo, that are in their mid-50s or whatever, and you're your age, Josh, and you're in your mid-30s, and you're looking at guys and you go, fuck, I don't want that guy's marriage, health, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Use that as motivation. This is a little bit off topic, but I think so pertinent. When you look at relationships, I go, I've been divorced. I had another relationship for 11 years with an amazing partner I split up with last year, a year before last, and we're still good friends, epic. Like, that's something now I've done a lot of work in the last number of years to go, what do I actually want in that person? Like, we don't do that. You think people get married and it's, in my mind, in many ways, a very outdated technology. Because when marriage came about, it was about economic, like bringing tribes together or whatever. And we had a life expectancy of 34. Go back 200 years, 1820, the life expectancy in the Western world was 34, sorry, not 24, 34. So you can put up with anyone for 15 years or 20 years if black plague and shit's around. But now we get, people will get married at 30 or 35 and go, till death do us part at 100. You're like, what are you talking about? I go, negotiate your divorce before you get married. Like, look at things and just practically assess them. Because I go, you wouldn't go buy a car unless you knew what model it was, how big the motor was, like blah, blah, blah. But we go, that person's attractive, should get married. Like, it's crazy. So it's a lot of that stuff I think we've just got to change our thought process. And the number one thing is self-responsibility. It all comes back to that. If your life sucks, it's because you've made shit decisions. Right?
When, like you mentioned, you hit that breaking point or that rock bottom, Was there signs where
Oh.
with someone telling you that, hey, you're not the same person you were 12 months ago?
Yeah, for sure.
So what were the cues?
Only since I was about 20, people were saying stuff like that. Like my mum, so mum and dad divorced, and like I said, dad was full on the cops. When I joined the police, I was only in it maybe a year and a half, maybe. And I'd wanted to do that from the time I was 6. So my mum said to me at one point, very early, like maybe 20, 21 maybe, she goes, oh, honey, she goes, I'm worried about you. You just seem so angry. And I was like, of course I'm fucking angry. You want to see the morons I deal with every day. And when her telling me I was angry, I see you're changing, you're getting angrier, I was like, awesome. Because everybody else I respected and as a cop was angry and, combative. So from an early age, mate, like in the police, my bosses, like I was in trouble all the time because I constantly broke rules for the right reasons. But, the just crashing cars, getting assault complaints. I had 7 years where I was under investigation for complaints, like assault complaints. But I also caught, I think there was 43 dog handlers when I joined the dog squad out of 6,000 cops in Queensland. There was 2 or 3 of us that, maybe 3 or 4 of us that caught the greatest majority of people. I was catching so many more people than anyone else and doing so many more jobs. So I was getting more complaints. But that was definitely an early sign that I was engaging in violent, like I'd never ever in my life have thrown the first punch at a fight, never. But if someone wanted to fight, I was like, let's do it. I wasn't trying to de-escalate it. And then, I get complaints. I used to drive like a lunatic and the bosses would go to me, just slow down a bit. And I'd go, yeah, sure. I'm like, fuck off. So I'm like, if I slow down 10%, he might get away. So I was so obsessed with doing my job and doing the right thing. But there was heaps of fucking red flags. And people would say to me, slow down, mate, you're going to self-destruct. I'd go, yeah, good story. And in my head, I'd go, yeah, that's because you're fucking soft. You don't get it. Like my boss, like guys our age now, my bosses would go, mate, slow down. They had wisdom. They knew what they were talking about. I was like, you're a fat sack of shit. Look at you. You don't even push hard. Why would I listen to you? I was
Were you sort of justifying all of those things too in your own mind? Oh, it's okay to speed, or it's okay to do this because I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Or I'm making the arrests.
And it's a purpose, right? Like my purpose was to chase, like I absolutely believed in the whole protect life and property and all that sort of stuff. Like I absolutely believed it. And so my whole mission was to catch criminals and lock them up so decent people weren't impacted. And it sounds so corny when you say it, but I was so driven by that nothing else mattered. And so heaps of people would say to me, mate, what are you doing? Like, slow down. But equally at the same time, I got so much positive reinforcement from people like, you're a fucking lunatic. Oh, which is, the whole Aussie sort of vernacular way of going, you're courageous, you're doing a great job, blah, blah. So I was like, and I had imposter syndrome. So I was like, I'm nowhere near as tough as these people think I am. So it was a beautiful concoction that made me do more dangerous and courageous things, which I wouldn't have called them that, but more stupid things, to try and prove to myself that I was tough. Then they'd think I was tougher, and it just was this ever-devolving situation that ended with me lying in bed with a Glock in my hand because I just had I was so challenged because the person that other people perceived me as, I didn't see me as, and I just felt like a real fraud in that. Now I look back and go, that's just normal insecurity and fear everyone has. I thought I was the only person on the planet that had it.
And do you think that's because, as you sort of touched on a little while ago, you were placing so much value on other people's opinions of you, and you were just sort of chasing that validation or that confirmation or whatever from outside of yourself?
Oh, 100%.
So they're like just sort of any time they give you that compliment, be like, yeah, good, and that would be your fuel to keep those behaviours.
Definitely, Josh. And the funny thing is, mate, yes, but there was such a detrimental side of that too, because I'd go do a job, I'd be terrified, terrified might be high. Some jobs I was terrified, but I'd be scared. Every job I was going to, lights and sirens, was violent. I was scared. And I'd be like, in my head, I'm like, you fucking coward. Like, I'd be, berating myself going, you fuck, because everybody else had the mask and pretended they weren't scared. So I'd turn up at these jobs, kick doors, like get, been shot at, taking guns off people, blah, blah. And then I'd look at the other cops, we'd walk out of it, and it could be something really hectic. And I'd be like, Jesus. And I'd walk out, look at them, and they'd be like, all right, see you at the next one. Mask on, get back in the car, they drive off. And the problem in the dog unit, you're on your own. So I'm just in my own head.
Yep, debriefing and...
And just the monkeys just going, who do you think you are? You're lucky. Like, you nearly fucked that up. You could have got them killed. You don't know what you're doing. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's right. And I'm working all night work. So my sleep's terrible. My nutrition was horrific. I'd work 10 days straight, majority 8P to 4A shifts. So I hated working any other shifts because that's when the most, violent shit happened. Then I'd have 4 or 5 days off and I'd go and drink piss for 3 or 4 days from 8 till 4 in the morning. And then I'd go back. It was just so self-destructive because it was just always chasing.
I was going to say, it sounds like work-wise you were constantly in that fight or flight,
100%.
which then, as we know, with the cortisol levels and, those days off when you're trying to come down, you're not coming down.
And so I'm going out and I'm drinking, hanging out with cops or mates of mine. We're getting in fights with, people in pubs. And again, never started them, but we were young, arrogant, cocky-looking dudes, and like girls would come and talk to us, and some other guys would be interested. Like, we just seemed to constantly get in fights with football teams from Logan at the place that we used to drink in the city. So we ended up in these fights with these hard dudes, and we'd be punching on. Like, so what, it wasn't unusual for us to be in at least a 1 or 2 fist fights in a weekend. Back to work, more violence, and got to the point where I was definitely hyper vigilant. But when I looked around, and I think now, in hindsight, there was a lot of guys I hung out with who there was a lot of guys I hung out with who didn't push to that same level, but they talked the talk. So I was like, oh, everyone's in it like I'm in it. And I was actually in it like that. My old man's like that. I think it's, it's genetic or whatever. But I just thought everybody else was like I was, that was so driven, didn't get... Like, I honestly, if I got shot and killed on the job, I was like, so be it. Like, I didn't want to die, but I wasn't scared of dying. And I remember I absolutely thought I'll probably be dead by 30, the way I'm doing this job. Dog squad's probably one of, if not the most violent job in the cops. I now realise I wouldn't have thought that back then, because you're chasing people with guns with a dog and you tie a rope to it and the dog drags you into an ambush. Like, it's the fucking stupidest job in the world. And I'd go to work on my days off. Like, I would constantly be in trouble for doing shit because I'd go on my days off. I'd swap, like, I'd work a 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift, and I did a lot of work with our CERT team, like SWAT team. Never did their selection, was never part of their unit, but I would do their dog work, me and another guy. So I'd work 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. and then they'd be doing 3 a.m. till 11 a.m. for raids on bikies, or, they only went after really bad people. So I'd work 8 p to 4a. Then I'd go to the dog squad office and it was all pencil and paper rosters. I'd change my roster till 3 a.m. to 11 and then I'd go work that. I wouldn't get to do overtime. So I'd do like a 16-hour shift of kicking doors and chasing people. Then I'd go and lock in with the CERT boys and be running, like, popping out of fucking covert vans on the side of the street and biting bad, we'd roll up, 4 or 5 of their dudes, all heavy hitters, helmets and fucking machine guns, and I got the dog, and then we'd slide up in a van, because you'd snatch people off the street instead of confront them where they could, pull guns on you. So we'd, quite a few times we'd roll up, high-ass van, the door would slide open, we'd grab our mate, pull him into the car, pull him into the van, he'd shit himself, and then there's 4 guns at his head and the dog trying to kill him, and I'm like, fuck, this is the best job ever. So I do that all the time.
Do you think that became addictive?
Oh, yeah,
like
100%.
Obviously getting those big adrenaline dumps and, like Jando said, the cortisol and all that sort of stuff.
I loved
pumping.
it, mate. Yeah.
And do you think that's sort of maybe what led you down that path, is like chasing that?
Oh, mate, no doubt. And chasing that in everything. So my relationships were all like hectic. Not combative, like obviously, not obviously. I've never hit a woman. I never would. That's not my thing. I used to go to domestic violence like sport, in the sense of I have a hatred for men who hurt women and kids, just that I don't know where it comes from. I can't explain to you how fucking furious and putrid I think those individuals are. I'd go to DV, and if I go to DV and there's a couple's had a fight and whatever, I'll be like, cool. But I go to a DV and the wife's bashed, and I walk in the house and the offender's like some violent dude, and he's like, get the fuck out of my house. I'm like, this is Christmas. And like, I'll be scared shitless, but I'd just stand there, stare at them. They'd be like, what are you looking at? I just wouldn't say a word, and they'd go, do you want to fight me? Wouldn't say a word. They'd come at me. It'd be on. I loved it because, again, I was like, someone's got to put him in his place. So it's this really weird thing that I had, and I know a lot of cops of my era and earlier, my old man's the same, that I'm like, I'm not going to back off anyone because who's going to fight my fight if I let this go? And I went looking for it, not because I thought I was tough, not because of anything other than I go, that's my job. As naive and stupid as it sounds to say at 55 years of age, I'm like, if I don't do it, who does it? Sounds arrogant, but it wasn't out of arrogance. It was definitely out of a drive to go, I have got to do this job to the best of my ability because people rely on me. There's victims out there that if I don't catch this person, they'll go and rape or bash or someone else. If I don't put this bloke in his place, when his wife comes home, he's going to beat her up again. Now I look back and go, it's a very shallow way to think of it. And so, mate, I just kept pushing it.
It's interesting that, you know, you have that mindset of that's my job and that's what I want to do. And I guess that's a risk in any of these roles, is that you take that on. And you touched on earlier, you get this weird relationship with death. It's like, it's okay if I die doing my job, which is just not normal.
No.
Yeah, especially for, you know, a young 20-odd-year-old to go, well, that's cool. I'm fine with that. If I go out that way, no worries. I don't think that that's healthy.
No, of course it's not. But we also need people who have that mentality, right? And that's what I think, whether it's, I know you've got a background military, fireys, cops, any job that, you know, ambos, emergency nurses, doctors, there's so many people that I go, we do jobs that are very much to the detriment of you as a human, whether that's actual violence, whether it's, you know, for you guys as fireys, you know, so many aspects of it, but, you know, fighting fires, rescuing people, bad traffic accidents, pulling bodies and parts together, whatever the things are. Ambos, like everybody, you understand everyone else's jobs, what happens. But even if you're a nurse, like my daughter's studying nursing, and I've had this chat, if you're a nurse in an emergency department, the trauma that you see on a daily fucking basis that nobody prepares you for, you are normally, predominantly nurses are female. You're a young woman like my daughter who is so driven. She has that real, I call it the O'Gorman, like fucking need to help other people. Our whole family's the same. And she has this drive to help other people and wants to make a difference. And I said to her, babe, why do you want to be a nurse? I don't get it. I said, she goes, well, because I want to help people, Dad. Okay, yeah, no, I get that. But why? And she goes, well, if I don't do it, who does it? And I was like, holy shit. I go, yeah, babe, I get it. And, you know, and we've had chats where she goes, it's like you were with the cops. And I go, babe, hey, look, I'm so proud of you. And I said, but look at Pop, look at me, look at all the people you know are friends of mine. You've got to look after yourself. And she probably won't. So I'll watch her. But I go, all of those personalities who do these jobs, you have got to be fucked in the head to want to do it in the first place. Like we call it neurodivergent now in 2025. It's fucked. You got to be crazy because it makes no sense. How many people go, yeah, so I'm going to go and join an organisation where I'll sit at the station for X amount of hours. I might even be asleep overnight, hoping that bell's going to ring, and it's going to be the grand final job where there's a fucking multi-story fire and there's 7 people in there, and I've got to go in and save them, and I could die. And we all dream about those jobs, right? What I call the grand final job. For me, it was like someone does an armed robbery, come out of the bank, throw shots at me. We have a car chase. We're shooting at each other. They crash. I'd get them with the dog and bite them and kill them, like whatever. And I'm like, I used to talk about it with mates of mine all the time. I go, fuck, that'd be the best job ever. You go, who dreams about the most violent shit where you could lose your life? And it sounds psychotic, but it's not psychotic. It's just so neurodivergent, like it's that ADD, autism, whatever, that's high in all of those professions. And there's something in that drives you to want to help other people. Like, I could have been an amazing sergeant at arms in the Banditos or a good cop because the personalities are very similar. But the drive to help people is what had me be a cop. So you go, for people who are listening to your podcast, you've got to understand that you're not normal humans. And if you think you are, you're in trouble. So then you've got to embrace that lunacy and that personality you have and apply that same drive to look after yourself that you do to want to find that grand final job. Do you think that, like the multi-story fire, would that be a common thing, do you think?
Yeah. And even, like, just as you're talking then, I'm thinking, like, how do you have this duality of, you know, fostering that desire to go to that job where inevitably you have to give a piece of yourself to someone else, to something else, whether it's the team or the person whose house it is. You have to give you're a part of yourself. But at the same time, on the other hand, you need to look after your health and well-being as well.
So, mate, what you just said, I think was a great analogy. I've never used this before. But whatever the little bit of you give away every shift in that job, you got to be doing the work on the other end of the seesaw to put that little bit back, so you maintain that balance. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden, whichever way you look at how it tips, but you give so much of yourself away that your life's way out of balance. And where does that play out first? Family, personal life, self-destruction, whatever, right? So you go, that's where you have to be doing the fucking work. So if you want the privilege of doing these jobs, and I think it is absolutely a privilege, if you want the privilege of going out and actually helping other people, which is so self-satisfying and self-gratifying, right? And we go, oh, we're so selfless. They're some of the most selfish jobs in the fucking world, if you're honest. Like for me, I was like, I love this job because I get to go and help people in their worst, and they love me and think I'm a great person, right? So if you're going to be that person, you're going to give so much of yourself away that you have to do the work on the other end to stay balanced. I do it in my job now, right? I'm lucky that I'm not lucky. I've done the work to get myself to a place where I found a career. Like I spent 12 years, 13 years working on this before it was a business. Like I was doing this before it was a business for 13 years. I worked in the corporate world, like I said, for 15 years. I fucking hated it. Now I'm in a job where the kicking doors and fighting people is pushing myself to help other people, having tough conversation with clients. So it's awesome. But I'm still very, very aware that I have to put in a shitload of work to keep that balance. And I do. And without sounding super egotistical, I'm really good at what I do. Most of my clients are repeat clients who keep coming back to me. I'm not cheap at all because they see the value. But I also have that willingness to push on things that most people won't push on. But I've done so much work over that 20 years to understand how to do it effectively. I've got a client who's a builder that I worked with a couple of years ago, and he's really funny dude, like very, very successful, got his own stuff going on. And the other thing, if you're super successful, as a fire or whatever, as an entrepreneur or whatever, it's because you're running from something. I totally think that. There's not too many super emotionally balanced, put together people who achieve amazing things because they don't have the fear or fucking insecurity driving them. This dude, very successful guy, has a backstory of some challenge. I helped him out a lot a couple of years ago, and he was good. And like I would sit in the office with him, and please don't use this strategy unless you know what you're doing. But him and his wife, the first day he saw me speak at a conference, he reached out to me, he said, I want to work here. I went and met him. And his wife, she's beautiful. They're probably 10 years younger than me, maybe mid-40s. And we're sitting talking, and he's a great guy, very driven, but like angry dude. She's sitting there, and he goes, blah, blah, blah. We're having this chat. I said, hey, listen. I said, hey, her name. I said, excuse me. I said, I know you've just met me. And I said, I'm going to use some language that's probably not real appropriate. And I go, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, C word, to this dude. I go, you shut your mouth or I will come across the table and choke you unconscious. And she looks at me and goes, I love you. You're amazing. He goes, well, no one's ever talked to me like that. I said, that's probably the fucking problem, mate. Him and I are great mates. He rang me a couple of weeks ago about something he was having a challenge with. And I said, hey, mate, do this and this and this, blah, blah, blah. I said, you and I probably need to do some more work together. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. He goes, yeah, I'll call you next week. I said, cool. She texted me yesterday. Goes, hey, there's some stuff going on. I said, yeah, cool. And he's just done some amazing shit in his business. So he's achieving amazing stuff, but he feels shit because it's still that hollow internal stuff. And I said, funny, he texted me, we spoke a week and a half ago. She goes, oh, he didn't tell me. I said, cool. I said, I'll reach out to him. So I sent him a text last night. And at the top of it, I put, not for consumption of women or children or public display or something. And then I went down a few lines and I said, I don't know who you think you are, C word. You told me you'd ring me. If you don't fucking ring me, I'm coming to your house. I will kick the door in, blah, blah, blah. And he knows it's facetious. And I said, call me tomorrow. I said, notice there's no question mark. And then I get a text when I wake up this morning and he goes, ha, 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 I love you, C word. I'll call you. Now, and it's not like, and I've got a female partner in a law firm. I don't talk to her like that. Obviously, I've got other people, but I have that same willingness to push limits in this job. But I now realise because of my job in the cops that could be detrimental to me if I love what I do, but it's not. And this is even harder to separate because it's who I am. But I go, I love what I do. I'm really good at what I do, but I'm just Shaun the dude over here. And I think that you've got to be able to differentiate that you're not what you do.
So I think the thing that I think about a lot is it's almost like the irony of the whole situation where whether you're fire, police, defence, is that we are so commit 100% of our job to go out and helping people, but yet coming home, we neglect, I shouldn't say we all, some of us neglect, if we put as much effort into our
100%.
relationship as we do to helping people on the street.
And I'd say the greatest majority do that, not some,
Yeah.
if we're honest.
I could go to an incident and, you know, obviously adrenaline fueled, but have the tools to go, I know what that's going to do here, I can do that, tactics, bang, done. Go home. It's a whole new world of, I've got to navigate my way around this conversation, and me and my partner, correction. I'm not that person.
I'm not judging you, mate. Yeah. It's weird you tell everyone, but you do you.
My partner and I were having some conversations about different things, and I felt like a ship out of water. It was like I don't have a crew. I don't have a different situation, and to me that's the irony of it.
So let me ask you a question. This is great, Jenna. This is awesome. How long have you been in the fireys for?
28 years.
Cool. So what's your rank? You station officer, right? How would you consider yourself a good firefighter?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh no, that's challenging. That's why I deliberately asked it. So
Thank you.
how did you develop those skills? Were you born with them?
Training? No.
Someone taught you?
Yeah.
How'd you get good at them?
Repetition.
So how many people have taught you, or how much education have you sought about relationships or communication?
Nil. Oh, I won't say nil. You talk to a few people. Obviously, when the relationship's at that.
Exactly, right? So do you learn to fight a fire when you're at a fire?
No.
So we go to find the education or the skills for relationships when our relationships are on fire. We go to find the skills about whatever when we're fucked. Most people look for nutritional advice and training advice when they've got type 2 diabetes and going to lose their foot. If you only get good at things that you educate yourself on and you develop skill and you practice it. Everything is that. When, like we've all got kids, right? How many of your kids did you buy them a bike and they got on it and rode it? None. You had to show them, you had to teach them, took their training wheels off, you held the back of their bike, ran behind them, and then eventually they rode off on their own, right? But we have this arrogant fucking attitude, particularly our personalities, where, oh, mate, I can kick a door down in a fire and go pull people out. I can handle shit at home. But you can't, because you've never learned it. You haven't developed the skill. And we have an arrogance and it's something that I absolutely believe for cops. I've never worked in your environment, so there's a question for you, but I'll be super surprised if it's not the case. We're special people when we're at work. You put on a uniform and you're recognised as a special person, whatever that looks like. For fireys, I sit in a coffee shop and the truck pulls up at the front and parks in the bus stop. Fireys get out, walk inside. Everyone's like, oh, hey, how you going? Like everybody the kids want to see you, talk to you. It's beautiful. Cops walk in, everyone throws shit at them. It's a different thing, but but when you go, so at work, you're special. As a firefighter, everywhere you turn up, people are happy to see you. As a cop, often you're turning up to difficult situations, and it's different to fires, but cops are turning up to help people still, even if they don't, you guys will turn up to stuff that's not great for people, totally, but you don't represent necessarily negativity. Cops represent the worst day of your life normally, and it's weird because they can be similar, right? But you go to work and you're special. People recognise you by uniform, whatever it is, and then you go home and they treat you normal because you're normal, because you're dad, husband, wife, mum, and we're like, don't you know how fucking special I am? When I go to work, everyone thinks I'm a legend. I come here, and you want me to take the fucking rubbish out and mow the lawn? Like, what's going on here? And so there's an arrogance in that. It's totally subconscious, and it's not something I've ever heard talked about. But I look at it and go, it makes so much sense to me because we are special people at work. Just, and it's a weird way to put it, but I think that's how you got to look at it. You have authority, you have skill, you're looked at for answers, whatever. You go home and husband, wife, whatever, kids are looking at you going, like, you're a dick. Why are you so angry? Why are you so shut off? Why are you so whatever? And we don't put the skills in place to have that communication, to be able to work things out, do whatever. I was 100% that guy in my marriage. Now, my daughter's mum has her own issues, no doubt about it. But there's no way in the world I go, oh, she was the problem. We were the problem. And I was probably a high percentage of the problem in the initial stages. And as things have gone on, I would say it's probably changed because I've done, in my opinion, a lot more work. She might think differently. I wouldn't know because we don't speak. So I haven't been able to develop the skills to be able to break that problem down, unfortunately. But I've also learned just some acceptance around it. But I go, wow, if I had have done this stuff, I said I was born in 1970. I joined the cops in 1989, right? When were you born?
89.
There you go, right? So I joined the police the year you were born. Like, when did you join the forest, Jendo?
96.
Cool. Nobody was talking about emotional intelligence, communication, like, right? PTSD, stress. It just wasn't a fucking thing. Nobody talked about anything. So if you talked about your feelings, then people would accuse you of particular sexual orientation or other things because of it, right? Like, it was like nobody showed weakness or vulnerability. But I go, there's no excuse in 2025. No. There is fucking no excuse. I don't care if you're 55, 35, 75. If you're a dick, you're choosing it. And you have to develop the skill. And you've got to put as much work into that balance so that when you come home from work, you literally can take the identity of the fucking superhero off and just be a normal dude. When I'm with my daughter, my 16-year-old, who's just a savage. And, you know, I said to her, that was a little while ago, I said, babe, I was talking about a particular thing. She was just rolling her eyes at me. This is probably 2 or 3 years ago. I said, sweetheart, do you realise people pay me a shitload of money for my advice? And she looks at me and goes, are they your daughters? And I said, no. And she pokes her tongue out and goes, And I was like, great point. She doesn't give a fuck who I am. Yeah. I'm just her dad. Yeah. So now I'm like, hey, beautiful, can I help? I don't. I go, is it okay if I give you some advice about something? I go, you don't have to take it. She goes, yeah. And then I'll say, hey, maybe this or maybe that. I'm very mindful to go that in a lot of ways, not having had time with them for a period of time. And since 2012 we separated, it's been, I've had to be very careful the way that I've interacted with them because they're mum and I. So there was always that threat of me losing time with them, right? And I'm not criticising their mum. I wouldn't do that. It's her and my daughters have never asked for their story to be public, so that's why I'm very, very cautious about how I talk about that. But so I had to be very influential on my daughters, not dominating. It was a gift for me. If I lived with them 24/7, I would have been way too hard. Do what I fucking told you. What do you think about this? But now I can't. I'm like, I love you. You're amazing. Like, I'd send 25 text messages, get no response. I'd send videos every day. I love you. You're beautiful. You mean the world to me. No response. So I had to get to the point of learning how to influence them. That was a skill. Learning how to talk to people. Learning how to. Rach, my ex-partner, for 11 years, she does a lot of high performance. She's an ex-Com Games gymnast for New Zealand. Does a lot of high performance with elite military, like Olympics teams, whatever, in the States here. She's amazing. And she came up with a thing for me, which I'll give to you guys and your listeners. When we're in a relationship, we would have, like, she's not a combative person, I am. Far less so now than I used to be, but when I met her, I certainly was. And she would say, she came up with this thing, where she would just say to me, let's use over-communicating as to set the tone of our conversation. So it could be on text message, it could be in conversation. It sounds weird. I use it all the time. I use it with clients. It's fucking amazing. Where we'd be in a conversation about something and it would be starting to go south. And for whatever reason. And she would say, 90% of the time, she used it more than I would because she's a far better person than I am. She would say, hey, hun, I'm just over-communicating, but feels to me like you're getting really angry about what I'm talking to you about, but all I'm asking you about is, like, did you get the chance to get the milk, for instance? And I'd go, oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, no, I didn't. She goes, okay, I'm not challenging you. I'm not trying to pick a fight. But if you can't get it, I'll go get it. I go, yeah, righto. And in my head, I'd be like, fuck this bullshit. Like, who's she thinking? And I'm like, wow. And I could actually start seeing that because the girl's mum and I would argue all the time. I would always felt as both of us, I'm sure, were always on the defensive, just waiting, like waiting for what the problem's going to be. So those things are skills, mate.
I often wonder, because whatever work, and Josh, you've had dual hats on with defence and fire service, because we're result driven. So you might go to the full-on chase and the shoot down, but that's generally over within an hour, potentially.
Tops, yeah.
Fires, an hour, two, tops, defence missions. Whereas the relationship thing at home is not an hour-long conversation. And I think the frustration for me is that, well, I'm past the hour now where this should have been resolved.
Should be 100%. I should have fixed this problem by now.
We should be in mop-down stage.
100%.
Whereas it's not. And I think that's where my frustration or lack of education.
Mate, there's a thing I talk about which I think really fits to that, right? If you're going to work, like personal development, whatever you want to call it, but if you're going to work on yourself, it's like walking to the horizon. You never get there because it should just be a perpetual thing you do forever. Relationships are a walking to the horizon. They're perpetually moving and evolving and changing. So you've got to always be communicating and talking about it, and it gets annoying. When you look at, it's a Tony Robbins thing. He talks about, I can't remember what he calls it now, but basically why men and women communicate differently. I think it's the meadow theory or something he calls it. He goes, men, go back to when we were cavemen, men's job was hunt, kill things, protect the tribe. So if the three of us were in a tribe, we're like, fuck, we haven't got much food. All right, we better go and kill something. Let's go kill that big thing over there. Done, bring it back. Easy. So it was simple. And then women were obviously the caregivers for kids and looking after the cave or whatever you call it. They'd go out and find berries. They'd have to get them at the right time of year. Otherwise, they'd be poisonous. They wouldn't. Ones that are particular colours. Be careful of this particular thing. You can't mix those two fruits together because it goes off or it's poisonous. Look after kids. Do whatever. So their communication was far more detailed and needed far more explanation. We're like, kill thing? Yes, do it. They're like, what's that berry? That one that's yellow, not that yellow, that orangey yellow, but not when the sun's like when it's cold, not when it's hot. So they're two totally different styles of communication. And if you're in a heterosexual relationship, that's a massive challenge. And particularly when you look, we are, I think, like alpha personalities in these jobs, men and women. And I think for women in these jobs, it's even more difficult because you've got to be an alpha personality at work and then somehow try and be the less dominant personality in a relationship. These are all very generalised comments. So I think that's a real challenge for women. How do you maintain a femininity when you're in a very alpha male-dominated role, which military, defence, police all are, fire are? So you go, that's another challenge. But it's all about communication. It's all about going, now, like I'm now, I literally sat down recently. I was talking to someone, I've got a coach I work with who's like this hippie kinesiology chick in Byron, and she's awesome. But so far off the reservation from what I do that I go, I need someone that's different. And I've been working with her for a couple of years just on different things. And we were doing some stuff on relationships recently. And I was like, she goes, have you ever actually sat down and just written out a list of what you want? I was like, nah. And we wrote this 2-page list of just a whole lot of things. She goes, what about this? I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even thought of that. What about this? And I'm like, cool. And then she went through it and goes, are you this to you? Tick this, cross. And it was, and probably because I've done a lot of work on myself, the majority of it, probably, 2/3 of it were, yeah, I do that for myself. And there's a third, she goes, well, you got to work on that stuff. I was like, shit, that makes sense. Now, that sounds like such a clinical way to do it. But I go, like, we got to learn, who do you want in your life? Like, who's the person? Instead of going, oh, that person looks attractive and we both like the same sort of music or whatever. Oh, we'll just spend 70 years together. Or like kids, how do I communicate with them? Like who do I want my daughters to see me as when they're, and there's such a cliche, but you go for men who've got daughters, your daughter will marry a man like you. Do you show up as the man you would be proud for your daughter to bring home? And I'm like, go back to my 20s and early 30s? Absolutely fucking not. Now I'm like, yeah, I actually would. Yeah. And I'm not giving parenting advice or anything, but I could tell you my 16-year-old daughter, like she's got this boy that she's talking to, which is their thing. There's all different levels of relationships that I don't understand. She goes, no, he's not my boyfriend, Dad. I'm not really interested. Siebes can't be bothered. Siebes, she goes, Siebes for a boyfriend. I'm like, oh, there's a whole language I'm learning. And so she texted me. I texted her one day just before Christmas, and she was at dinner with her mum and some of mum's friends. I said, how you going, doll? How's dinner? On Snap. She's like, No, I left. I'm hanging out with this kid's name. I said, oh, cool. What are you doing? She goes, oh, we're just hanging out at home. I said, all right. And I go, so I send a video and I go, tell old mate, he better be very careful what you and him are doing at your mum's house when no one's home, because I live 3.5 minutes away and I will fucking be there. And she shows a video of this kid, and she knows I'm joking, obviously, but he shows her the video of this kid, and he looks like he looks scared, and they're in her bedroom, sitting on the bed, or he's standing beside the bed, and she looks like, she shows me a video of him, looks at the camera like with this smile on her face. So I send another video, and I go, I'm not sure why your mum would decorate her lounge room to look like a fucking bedroom. I said, because there's no way in the world that kid is stupid enough to be in your fucking bedroom, blah, blah, blah. She sends back, he looks terrified. She sends back this message and she goes, hey, bro, he's terrified. Knock it down a notch. Right. And then I send my back jacket. And I've met the kid since then. He's a really nice kid. I'm actually helping him get an apprenticeship through a mate of mine. Like, he's epic. But I'm like, that's also part of my job as her dad. I'll say to her, hey, beautiful, I love you. I got your back no matter what. I go, if you're in trouble, drop a Google pin. Text me, I'll be there. Someone's probably going to the ICU. And she's like, cool. Now, the probability of that happening is so slight, but I want her to know I've got her back no matter what. Now, there'll be many people in 2025 go, you can't do that, that's too violent, and blah, blah. I go, I want my daughter to be less scared. It's the wrong way to put it. I want her daughter to know that I'm capable of protecting her to a level that's probably beyond what she needs to be scared of in someone else. Now, is that true? Probably not. But then that gives her a confidence to go, my dad's got my back no matter what. I'd be the same with my sons, like whatever, because you go, your job as a parent is to make sure your kids know you've got their back. Your partners need to know you love them. How do they know? Because you tell them constantly and you talk to them about things and you're not dismissive and you're not, but it's all about that emotional vulnerability, which our personalities are fucking terrible at.
Definitely.
Just listening to you talk, the other thing I think maybe enhance that, Shaun, particularly in our job roles, is that we've always got some sense of authority.
Totally, mate.
So it doesn't matter what incident we go to or, you know, where we are, whether we are the holder of what goes, essentially.
100%.
And then, like I said, you roll in back home and they don't care.
No,
They don't get
but that's exactly right.
two shits.
No. Like, I turn up to my daughters and they're like, hey, good story, bro. Like, you know, particularly my 16-year-old, she's just like, you know, I go, well, have you ever been scared of me? She goes, nah, why would I be scared of you? And I go, that's great. But it is that.
Yeah.
The other real issue, and you're absolutely right on that, Josh, and another part of that is you cannot show emotion or vulnerability or weakness on the jobs. You can't. You can't turn up to a fire and go, fuck, that looks really bad, and cry and suck your thumb and lie down, because people die. Cops can't, soldiers can't, whatever. All the people we've talked about can't do that. But then we need to be able to go home and do exactly that. And they're diametrically opposed personality traits and behaviours. So you've got to work on them.
So unless you do, you're probably going home and doing the same thing.
100%.
Trudging through, shutting down, putting the mask
Totally,
on,
mate.
and just powering through it. It's
You
probably unhealthy.
Particularly in your job, right? And I think this is a good analogy. If you go to a fire and you've got your turnout kit on, whatever you call it, but like, what happens to all that kit after your fire? What do you do with it?
Clean it.
Decon.
Right, so you go home and decon it, or back to the station and decon it. What happens to you? What do you do?
Give yourself a wash, decon yourself.
Yeah, so you decon your kit, probably your equipment, truck, everything, I'm imagining, right? So you're trying to keep all the carcinogenic shit out. You're trying to cleanse everything so you don't impact yourself physically. So what would happen if you were at a hectic fire in a chemical factory, for instance, which is probably one of the worst, I'm guessing, or in a house that's full of asbestos or whatever it is? You finish the fire, you all turn around and go, fucking good job, boys. And then you just get straight in your car, drive home and walk into your house with your kit on. Like, would that be healthy for your family?
No.
How often would that happen before there's a bad impact? For the, health-wise or whatever. Wouldn't be long. Or if you did every day, it would accumulate to the point where there might be some cancer, that something would be the outcome. Emotionally, that's exactly what you're fucking doing. You're walking straight out of the fire, you're not decontaminating, get straight in your car, drive home, walk in and go, I don't know why they're so fucking hard to get on with. Because it's never your fault. It's always the other person's fault.
Yeah. And then your default is probably to go back into that fixing mode of
or aggressive mode,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Because do you get taught as firefighters to use, like, what, when they're talking to you about taking doors down or going into fires, what's the terminology they use to push forward? Like, is it courage? Is it, like, what would be the...
Well, I guess our language around going internal is an aggressive attack.
Aggressive.
Aggressive
Cool.
internal attack.
Cool. So that's what you call it?
Yep.
Perfect. So it's called an aggressive internal attack to go into a... Perfect. So that language is...
Yep.
I was going to say aggressive, so that's awesome. So you are taught, when there's a problem, you go and address it with aggression. Yep. And then you go home. So what's your default way to deal with it? Aggression.
Same, yeah.
Right? If I can't bash a thing, not literally, but if I can't bash a thing into submission, or I can't bash the door down and fight the fire, then what am I doing? If you're turning up at a trapped vehicle, you're literally jaws of life tearing the fucking thing apart to get people out.
Everything's aggressive, yeah.
And destructive. Because you're destroying shit to save stuff, right? You go as a cop, you kick doors down. You don't pick locks. You know, like, so, and then you take all of that very subconscious but so critical behaviour that saves your life at work and brings result to, you know, horrifically difficult situations at work. And then you go home and you're applying the same stuff subconsciously. Go, why doesn't this work?
And I wonder too if there's that arrogance or ignorance of, you know, my partner's going to accept that because I'm this
Hero, superstar,
hero
or
of
whatever.
the
Yeah.
community. So
Yeah.
It's going to be a no-brainer. He or she's just going to go, you know what, I accept your behaviours because you are that person. Well, exactly like your daughter and what you were saying. You get home, you're just that,
Dad, mum,
you know,
100%,
husband, wife, child.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very. It's almost like you've got to be have a little bit of schizophrenia about you. It's you've got to be that person at work and this person at home.
100%, right? And it's a skills development thing, because you weren't a firefighter before you developed the skills to be a firefighter. I wasn't born a dog handler, right? I wasn't born a cop. And I look now, and I'm very proud of my police career, which I wasn't for a long time. I'm very proud of what I did in the cops. I certainly wasn't exceptional or spectacular, but I definitely gave it 150% to my own detriment. I had a psychiatrist say to me when I was on sick leave, he said to me, he goes, mate, you've done a 35-year police career in 13 years. And I was like, fuck off, mate, blah, blah. And he said, you got PTSD like a Vietnam veteran. I'm like, and I was in his office, stand-up argument with him. I'm like, mate, those people climbed through tunnels in Vietnam chasing Viet Cong. I go, I cruised around Brisbane half the time trying to get girls' phone numbers outside fucking city rollers. Like, it's not the same thing. Then over many years, as I've looked more, I'm like, yeah, like he's probably right. And I'm not saying this to be, to try and pat myself out as some hero at all. But the harder you work and the more you want to do this job, the more violence impact. So it would not be uncommon for me to go to 10 or a dozen violent incidents in a shift. DV, and it doesn't mean I'm fighting or that I'm getting shot at it, but I'm in this hyper-aggressive standoff situation 8, 10, 12 times a shift, and I would drive to them at 170 kilometres an hour because I just fucking wanted to get there before it got resolved. And then I've got a mate who runs a psychology business, and I've said a mental blank on what it's called, but Mark Kelly is his name, and it's at Bulimba in Brisbane. And Kel is an ex-AFP cop, and quite a few of the guys from my old unit have gone and seen him, current guys. Over the last few years, I've been out and done a fair bit of stuff with the boys in my old unit, and he actually, I caught up with him for a coffee before Christmas. He goes, mate, he goes, I never understood just how negatively impactful dog handling is. And he goes, the boys are running me through the jobs. He goes, the amount of extreme adrenaline spikes you've got on one track because you're like in the middle of the dark tracking, dog indicates you're like, shit, and adrenaline spikes, heart rate spikes, then it drops, then 10 seconds later or 30 seconds or a minute later, again. He goes, mate, it is so damaging. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, right? So I go, not only do we then, if there are lazy firefighters, there are lazy cops. They're not often the ones that get impacted by PTSD, depression. They don't often have really bad relationships. They're just the middle of the road guys and girls because they don't give a shit. It's just a fucking job. And I go, I'm so glad I wasn't one of them, but I wish I was one of them. And I don't really. But I wish I had their life. I've got a guy that I worked with as a law clerk before I joined the cops after I failed high school, and he joined the job after I did because him and I became mates. Like we were just like filing paperwork in the courts and whatever. Started hanging out together, drinking together, chasing girls together when we were like 18, had a ball. And then he joined the cops after I did because I was in there for like a year, and he's like, mate, you look like it's the best job ever. I go, fucking mate, it's the best job. So he joined. Now last I spoke to him was a chief superintendent. He's had some dysfunctional relationship stuff, but he's with his wife now. He's been with for ages, got a family. He's sort of early 50s. Good dude. I was sitting with him a while ago. We haven't had much contact for a number of years, probably 10 or 15 years. And I caught up with him. He reached out to me to get some help about a cop who's struggling. And I said, why do you reckon I said, how do you feel about it? He goes, mate, I'm good. And like he was a good cop, but he certainly didn't do the stuff that me or my mates or those sort of guys did. He goes, yeah. He goes, mate, I'm good. And I go, do you reckon there's any impact for you? He goes, not really. And I go, why? He goes, it's only ever been a job to me, mate. He goes, I never thought about joining the cops till I met you. And then I was like, that looks like fun, so I just joined it. He goes, you were obsessed with it from the time I met you. And he said, I just wasn't like that. He goes, it just looked like a good job. I didn't know what else I was going to do. And he goes, I've been here and it pays the bills, and it's like he doesn't, I'm not saying he doesn't care about it, but he's not like hyper invested in it like I was. So, and he's a good guy. I'm not judging his abilities as a cop. He would himself go, yeah, I'm sure he would count himself as a reasonably mediocre cop. Maybe, I don't know. But he certainly didn't have a reputation of, like my old man did or I did or many other guys did, that was just like, oh my God, mate, like you're fucking out of control. So the harder you push, the more you care, the more you want to do. You try and go to the I don't know if it's the same for you guys. I know you don't move around that much, but go to a place that's got more jobs or that's busier, or want to go to a specialist unit like a Swiftwater Rescue or whatever it is. They're going to be the more dysfunctional humans who probably have the more dysfunctional lives. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. That just makes me think back to that point we were talking about before. Like, you want people to make those investments, and you want people to care, and you want to be good at your job. But I'm assuming that if you're going to make those investments, you equally have to make the same investments on the other side.
Totally, mate.
To make sure that you're at those scales are.
And let's put it in our language, right? That's absolutely true, but our personalities aren't going to resonate with that.
No.
You're putting an investment in myself, like, fuck off, idiot. They won't listen, right? I go, if I'm going to go to work and kick doors and chase guys with guns, then I've got to be willing to kick fucking doors and do the hard work on the other end.
Yep. I've
got to use the same aggression and violence to push myself to do the things I know to be more emotionally vulnerable, as silly as that sounds. Yep. I've got to have that same commitment to be, like, how many fires or jobs have you guys gone to where you've been really scared and you didn't want to go through the door?
Few.
Most of them, right? Probably most of them, unless you're a fucking psychopath. So probably most of them, right? So you go back, why do you go through that door?
Well, it's your job.
Yeah.
And
that's what we're trained to do.
But why do you actually go through that? Not because it's your job, you're fucking trained to do it. Why do you do it?
Well, there's that risk of, there's that vulnerability, obviously.
But you're not going to let people down.
Yeah.
You're not going to let people, either the people in the fucking building, the people trapped in the car, or your mates that you're working with. So then why the fuck do we let the people down that we love the most and not kick the fucking doors down to do the work there? There's a level of cowardice. Yeah. We are fucking cowards when it comes to that stuff.
One thing previously in a conversation we had, and it resonated me with a lot, was on that topic where, it might be in that conversation, which we're not good at articulating.
Well, you can be if you practice.
If you practice,
right?
Of
Definitely.
Course. Is that you said to me, or Josh and I, you said, if old mate off the street come into your house
mate.
and spoke to your family the way that you spoke to your family, what would you do?
Totally.
Knock his head off.
100%.
That to me, and I've used it. Thank you.
Good.
For other people, and it's that light bulb moment of, and it allows me to check in now and go, what's your tone? Because if, like, across the road walked in and said that, I'm kicking him out the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
you're taking his head off his shoulders.
Yeah. So and that was a really key moment.
That's awesome, Jen. I'm glad it resonated. There's two things I say every workshop that I deliver to our sort of community. That's one, because I think it's and thank you, because I hadn't thought of that in this chat. It's absolutely, if I walked into your fucking house and spoke to your husband, wife, kids the way you did, what would happen? And it would be violence, hopefully. Because if it doesn't, you're a coward, right? So the other thing I always talk about, like I'll stand up in a group in front of 100 or 200, whatever, cops, whatever, military, and I'll go, how many of you like being vulnerable? No one puts a hand up. And I go, you won't even put your hand up about being vulnerable because you're scared of being judged by other people and being vulnerable. I go, how many of you perceive vulnerability in you as weakness? And people put their hands up, right? And then I go, how many of you perceive I'm vulnerable while I stand up here and talk to you? And they go, yeah. And I go, how many of you perceive me as a weak individual? And they sort of look and I go, and if you do, I'll fight you in the fucking car park after this, right? And it's obviously just a bit of humour. But it's funny how those two things resonate with people highly. Because you go, vulnerability isn't weakness. It takes more fucking courage to be vulnerable than it does to be an emotional Neanderthal, male or female, and self-destruct your fucking family. And if you joined the fire service, you joined the fire department, and they said, hey, mate, there's about a 72%, and I'm making 100% of my stats are made up, there's about a 72% chance that you will fuck your marriage and your kids' lives, even if you don't separate, they'll be miserable and hate you as a result of this career. Do you want to join?
Probably not.
You probably wouldn't sign. But that's probably, and I don't know if 72% is it, but I tell you, it's not 11%. What's the divorce rate like in fire department?
Oh,
Fairly high.
yeah.
Right? Same as cops, same as military, same as anything. Because there is such a fucking impact on the human being that does the job, and then they take it home and they don't decontaminate and they walk their shit through their life.
So on that, talk about that decon before you go home.
Yep.
What are some stuff that we can do to decon our mind and our emotions before we head back into that space?
Perfect. So there's, and I think, and again, I've never been in your environment. I love putting shit on fire. It's about sleeping at work. It's one of my favourite. Cops love that. So I go, like if you're at Roma Street here in Brisbane, then I guess your sleep hygiene is not going to be great because you're going to get called out a million times to a shit alarm probably. But it is the basic things, Josh, that you need to stack over time. If you want to be fit and healthy, you don't go to the gym once a month. But it's stuff like, and I pause because I know fucking 90% of people listening to this won't do this. If you were actually to sit at work and do 15 minutes meditation before you leave, do some gratitude journaling before you leave, some of those things, on the way, there's an app called Pep Talk, P-E-P-T-A-L-K, Pep Talk, that I found a few weeks ago. I've got no affiliation with it. And it's this app that basically is just a shitload of positive, like snippets of interviews or stuff with people around particular topics. There's videos, there's audios, there's all sorts of stuff. It's freaking awesome. Like play that on your way home. Like coming here this morning, I trained and did whatever this morning. Coming here, I want to be as sharp as I can to deliver the best to your audience. So I'm driving here this morning. I woke up, I did meditation this morning, I did some journaling, I did all the other shit that I did. Then driving here, I was listening to this Pep Talk app. And it was just, you know, like if you want the results, you've got to do the work. And as I'm listening, I'm like, fuck, I feel pumped up. Because if I don't have that track running in my head, there is another track that's like, you're a fucking piece of shit. What are you doing? You're lazy. Don't do this, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's so much better now than it used to be. But for most people, that's pretty loud voice and pretty self-destructive. If you had a TV screen above your head and the negative thoughts were running on it, you'd probably end up committed to Belmont Hospital, right? But we all have that. So that monkey brain is hundreds of thousands of years old evolutionary biological adaptation to keep us safe. Don't do that thing. Don't do that thing. You're a piece of shit. Tries to keep you small. So you've got to build that mental resilience to be able to be positive. That comes through what you listen to, whatever. So actually to decon from work home, meditate and journal. On a more overarching umbrella, be a psychopath with your sleep. If you're not getting 8 hours sleep a night, it's going to impact you horribly. I've got an Aura ring that I'm quantify my sleep with, and if I look at, because I got up at 4 this morning, my sleep last night I think I got 6 hours, and it so I got 87 out of 100, which is, and that's because I get a lot because of normally my sleep's like 8 hours or more. Last night I got the night before 7 hours 44. I got 92 out of 100. My resting heart rate's lowest is 45 beats per minute. Average is like 51. Like all of this stuff because I'm so focused on sleep because I know without sleep everything else is less effective. So you've got to sleep. Then you've got to eat clean food. Like, and you know, when I do workshops, I'll often say, listen, how many of you struggle with diet? People go, yeah. I go, yeah, carnivore, keto, fucking what are you going to do, blah, blah. I go, here's. So I'm not a nutritionist, but here's a super complicated thing. And I said, this is a very, very complicated way to think of it. And for your listeners, I go, get a pen and paper and write this down. If it had eyes, eat it. If it didn't have eyes, don't eat it. If it grew somewhere, eat it. If it didn't, don't fucking eat it. That's nutrition. It's simple. What would we eat as monkeys or cavemen? Like, not Macca's, not fucking pizza, not pasta. Now, like, I still eat that shit, but I don't eat it for nutritional value. It's it's enjoyment. Like, I had frozen yogurt with my daughter yesterday afternoon after we had a burrito at freaking Guzman's. But the burrito's not too bad. It's got meat and blah, blah, whatever. So, you know, but sleep well, eat well, move, like exercise. We're so sedentary. Just walk. The biggest indicator of longevity now, the research is showing, is muscle. So start lifting fucking weights. Every fire station's got a gym in it, right?
Yep.
How many jacked, ripped fucking calendar-esque fireys are there?
12. One for each month.
Exactly, right? So, and thank God they don't fucking drug test it. No jokes. So, but you go, why is every firefighter not fit and healthy? Yep. Like, you've got the time, generally, and you tell me if I'm wrong. You'd be able to find an hour in your shift to train.
Yep.
That's encouraged.
Yep.
You've got a kitchen. You've got a fucking bed. Right? Why are most firefighters not that? Because we're used to helping other people, not ourselves. But there's no excuse. How many fat firefighters are there? Few.
Yeah.
More than 12.
And what do most of the guys and girls do on their downtime? If you've got nothing else to do, training's done, truck's ordered. What do they do? Sit in their recliner and play fucking video games.
Yeah, some will sit in the computer and just
fuck around.
But
Instagram, do what, like side businesses, like whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where you go because you're not in enough pain. Has there ever been a fire you guys know that had a heart attack or got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and went, oh, Jesus, then got their shit together?
Yep.
But they're waiting for the rock bottom. So, mate, the decon is just it's the skills. It is those things: sleep, nutrition, training, meditation, journaling, podcasts, books, educate yourself. It's that simple.
And I like the decon analogy because at work it's a directive. After a job, it's a directive. You will decontaminate.
And I'm sure you're shown how to do it. You're taught.
Yeah.
There's standards.
Yep. And, that whole decon before you go home, I think, is a great analogy that would
resonate
with.
And if you guys did a job together, a fire together, went back and deconned and you half-assed it, would you be like, Jando, what are you doing?
100%, yeah. And that is creeping in more and more too.
We've had situations where they want to go and sit in the recliner. I'm all right, I didn't do much. Get in the shower.
So then why aren't we doing that with other things?
Well, I guess it takes that person to lead by example.
100%, mate.
On that shift or in that crew or that team or whatever, to go, hey, guys and girls, let's go and do a bit of this.
Let's go hit the gym. Let's go do this. And here's the problem, right? One of the biggest issues that I find in these groups of human beings, can fireys whinge?
Oh. Well, there's only two things they whinge about, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's currently happening and change.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And cops are the same, right? I think most of our personnel is the same. I know military's the same. I go, most cops could whinge for fuck. If it was an Olympic sport, they'd be gold medalists, right? You guys would probably give us a run for our money, right? And when you've got downtime, what are you normally sitting around talking about?
Oh, the negative shit.
The job and how fucked it is. And it's that misery tennis that I've talked to you boys about before, right? I'll sit down and go, fuck me. You know what I just found out about blah, 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 blah. And then you'll go, it doesn't surprise me. Did you hear about XYZ that happened to Billy? I hit the ball over, you tell your side story, you hit it back, and we just keep hitting it backwards and forwards. I think for you guys, it's even more detrimental because you've got more time to do it probably. Yeah. And there's more people in, you've got a crew of, 4 or 6 or how many on a crew, depending on
the station, but any
4 to 6, 8, whatever.
12,
Yeah, cool. So you might have 12 of you that work together for the last fucking 5 years. There's been no one new or there's very few new people. So who sets the culture in that normally? The most miserable motherfucker.
Yeah. Yes.
The most negative and miserable human being. Because nobody wants to be the fucking positive fairy that comes in and goes, hey, life's amazing. And they go, oh, really? Let me tell you how fucking shit it is. And they're normally quite a dominant personality. And it's a lot easier to bitch about shit. Think about it in your own personal life when you talk to people. What do most people talk about?
Negative stuff, yeah.
And I can't stand it. So I'm like, I just don't do it. And I struggle with a lot of people. I don't do small talk because I don't give a fuck what the weather is or, you know, what the Broncos did on the weekend. Like, I have no interest because I'm like, I want to talk to people about significant shit that means things that we can help each other with. And it's not all about, you know, I don't give fucking pop tests after conversations, but I want to be able to talk to people about shit that matters. You know, I want to be like, what do you understand about this or that? Like, what do you know about that? Oh, I don't know much about that. Tell me about that. Why do we do that stuff? Like, because I just think the hungrier you are for knowledge, the happier you are. And you also get out of your own little microcosm of a world where it all sucks. Like, and it's like there's little things that I've just done over the years. When I wasn't seeing my girls, that started in January 2018. And I didn't see him for a period, for like a year and a half. Then I saw him for a few months and I didn't see him again from March 2020 until 3 weeks ago. Didn't stay with me and I didn't have a lot of contact. During that period, it was so hard. Like, it was much harder than PTSD and whatever in the cops. Like, it was fucking horrible. And somewhere along the line, I came up with this thing, and I was very much into this work by that stage, obviously. I've been doing it for 10 years or more. And I was like, there is someone, and one of the girls was 7 when this came up, and you'll understand why that's important. I was like, there is a dad somewhere in Brisbane tonight holding the hand of his 7-year-old daughter who's about to die of fucking leukemia, who's not even going to make it till tomorrow, and that guy would give his left arm to have my problems. And I go, it doesn't diminish it, but it puts some perspective on it. And I was like, so just keep pushing. So I just kept pushing, and then the results speak for themselves, right? Now also, there was people, Rach was beautiful. She would go, hey, hun, it'll all work out. They'll come back to you. I go, oh, will they? You got a fucking crystal ball? Like, I was so angry. Like, I want to be very, very transparent. I wasn't peaceful. I wasn't a good guy to be around with some of it at all. It was hard, but I just never gave up because it was my kids. I didn't have that drive and fight in my marriage, and I didn't have the knowledge either, right? But I can tell you now, if I knew what I know now, then I would have done things very differently in my marriage and fought like that before I got to the point where I lost my kids. Now, the reason I started doing this work wasn't for PTSD or whatever. It was because of my daughter, and it was to fix our marriage. The other stuff just came out of that. Because at that point, I wouldn't have thought I was the problem, which was the irony of it. Now, in hindsight, I go, fucking hell. Should have gone to Specsavers because I couldn't see anything. But that's the problem, right? We all wait till it gets really bad. But I would implore you, like, and you guys, like, I am so fucking impressed by what you do for your community, because this takes courage. I know what people in these communities are like. You'd cop plenty of criticism and plenty of shit from people, I'm sure. But you've got the courage to show up and do it. Why do you do that?
Well, we talk about that a lot, and it's to stop anyone in our field getting to that stage where you're at 20 years ago.
Yep. What are you doing?
Pretty much the same thing. It's the same reason we do our jobs. It's to help others around us, but again, trying to avoid that crisis point. If someone listens to this and listens to what you're saying and goes, holy fuck, you know, I'm now going to do this, this and this before I go home.
Totally.
Well, you know, that might be the difference between them reaching that crisis point and not. So that is the reason that we...
And it's not even might. I fucking guarantee that's the difference, right? And the reason I'm so passionate and strong on that is I go, it is the simplest shit that we don't do. It's little behaviours stacked one on top of the other. Sleeping well, eating well, blah, 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 communicating. Like, jump on fucking YouTube, jump on Audible, buy a book about relationships. Like, there's podcasts out there for relationships. There's podcasts out there for freaking everything. Listen to one. You know, like, it's not that hard. I'm sure there'll be a firefighter's wife on the States that probably runs a podcast about communicating with your husband or your wife's a firefighter, probably. Go fucking find it. Yep. There's plenty of that stuff for cops and military. Just use one of them. It's all the same stuff. But you've got to get off your ass and do the work. You could have 11,000 books in your bookcase. The osmosis of it doesn't just leak into you. You've got to do the fucking work, and just reading it's not enough. You've got to put it into practice. Like, how many overweight people who struggle with their fitness have had a personal trainer and it didn't work because they turn up one day a week at the gym and they tell them what to do, and the rest of the week they eat shit and don't train. So That's a trap when we get people, and I think people should absolutely use psychologists. I think they're brilliant. I think that's a great idea. But if you just turn up for an hour every 2 weeks, talk to the psycho about how sad you are and go home and drink piss and carry on like a moron, nothing changes. And if there's anyone listening to this who is like, what could I do to massively reset myself? I go, take 30 days off alcohol. And like I said, I'm not anti-drinking, but how long since either of you boys have been 30 days without a beer? Drink?
I don't drink either.
You don't all?
Nah,
Yeah, cool.
I reckon it's probably been 12 months since I've had a drink. Yeah.
Perfect. What's the difference?
It's huge.
So what is
just
it?
like way more like clarity. I don't wake up with a hangover for one.
Yep.
You know, like I'm much clearer and just much more able to think. Really, that's my main.
You're less reactive?
Yes. Yep.
Less,
But
less cranky? Like,
I would say it's hard to tell if it's that alone because there's other things that I do
Sure.
as well that
Sure.
that would enhance that.
sure.
It's really hard to differentiate.
I guarantee you that is it.
Yep.
Sorry. I guarantee you that's a big contributor.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's an easy thing. Like, you want instant change? That's instant change.
Yep.
How long since you've had a beer? Like, gone 30 days without?
12 months.
Yeah. That's a long time, right? And that's actually probably not too bad. I've got blokes I talk to our age. I go, when's the last time you went a month? And I'll say 3 months. When was the last time you went 12 weeks without a beer? They go, when I was 14. Like, it's a depressant. It's poisonous. Drink it. I don't give a fuck. So I was in the States late last year, hanging out with a mate of mine who's an ex-SWAT guy, CIA contractor, been to Iraq and Afghanistan, was hunting Somalian pirates like a fucking badass. Mate of a mate. So he went and hang out with him for a few days. Where, like, the minute he picked me up at the airport, he's like, fuck, I feel like I've known you 20 years. Just we clicked. So I'm sitting around with him and his wife. He's a first-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, just a hard, like, just a fucking warrior. No other way to describe him. Where they're talking, his wife's there, his kids are there. They're sort of, maybe 12 and 10, 9. He's got a Mal pup, same as mine. Like, there's just so many similarities in him and I where they're talking. And he's drinking scotch, like Jameson's. And we're just talking about different things. And he's been battling with some stress, whatever. I said, hey, mate, I said, how long since I said, how much do you drink? He goes, oh, not much. I said, okay. Like what? He goes, oh, maybe 1 or 2 drinks a night. I go, okay. Like, standard pause. Oh, and his wife goes, yeah. No. I go, when was the last time you went a week, 2 weeks, a month without alcohol? If it wasn't a deployment, and he's been off the tools for a while. He goes, oh, fuck. Couldn't tell you. I go, and that was October. I said, so get off the piss for a month. He goes, oh, I don't think I need to. I said, I don't think you can. And he goes, what? I said, I don't reckon you've got the commitment. I said, it's all good. I said, you don't have to. I said, if it's too hard, don't do it. And he goes, I'll fucking do it. I go, oh, will you? And he goes, oh, you got me. I said, 100% I got you. I said, now do it for 3 months. And there's a thing called SHOT Show, which is like a big gun and police military convention in the US in January I was supposed to go to. And when my daughter came back, I cancelled the trip. And I was going there with him. I said, stay off the pistol after SHOT Show, which is about now. He goes, what? Because it's a massive, all these gunfighters get together, drink piss. It's huge in Vegas. He goes, well, what if I stay off till before it? I go, oh, if you want to take the week way, do that. And so he stayed off it. He rang me 3 weeks in. He goes, holy fuck. He was suicidal. He was battling stuff. He was really suicidal a couple of years ago. And he goes, he's still having dark thoughts, all that stuff. He goes, I can't believe the difference. When I was with him and I know he's spoken about this on podcasts, so I know he won't care. He lives in Utah. Him and I were at, we'd gone and trained jiu-jitsu. I was hanging out with him for like 3 days. We'd train jits, and then we'd gone out with his family to this like Friday night market thing in the town they're in Utah. And I was watching him, and he's got like carrying a gun in his bum bag. They're all carrying guns. Got his Mal, and he's a hard dude, and everyone loves him. And I watched him. We're just standing. His phone rang, and he picked it up, and his body language changed, and he walked away. And I was like, fuck, that's interesting. So I just sort of watched him, and I sort of shadowed him a little bit, without him sort of seeing me. And then I just see his head's down. I'm like, that's not a great phone call. And then he turned around, he looked at me, and I was sort of not close enough to be able to hear, but not too distant. And he looked up, and I just sort of nodded, and he shook his head like, not good. I was like, so I just stayed there. And it felt so uncomfortable. But I just stood there watching him. And then he hung up the phone, and I said, what's going on, bro? And he goes, one of my buddies just committed suicide, just killed himself. I was like, holy shit. And he's in tears. I've got tears in my eyes. I feel emotional saying it. And I just hugged him. I'm like, mate, fuck, what do you do? And he's like, that could have been me. He goes, I've lost so many friends to suicide, blah, blah. I said, yeah, mate, I get it. So we had this chat for probably 10 minutes. And it was super challenging because I'm like, I've only known this dude a couple of days. He's a hard man. I don't want to interject myself into his life. In my head, I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are, mate? Like, and then we had that whole chat. The next day he goes to me, he goes, mate, that was probably the best thing that I've ever seen in that sort of thing. He goes, holy shit. He goes, that was amazing. It's not like he even said anything, astounding. And I heard him talking to another guy on a podcast over there about it. And his mate was like, holy shit, like that's, wow. He goes, we don't do that. But I was looking at this guy going, I have the courage, like if we were at that thing, and obviously I didn't have a gun, but he's got a gun. I go, if we were at that thing and someone started threatening his life or his family's life, what would I do? I wouldn't run away. I would run into that, whatever it is. And I go, so if I don't have that same courage to go and talk to this guy about shit when he's struggling, then then I'm just a coward. So all of this stuff comes back to that, just the courage to look after yourself, the courage to do the work, the courage to put your hand up when you're struggling, the courage to reach out to your mates when they're struggling. Men and women, I don't just mean guys when I say mates, like just we've got to be on that front foot to go, you guys live in each other's fucking pockets. So you do 2 nights, 2 days, 4 off, right? Yeah. So for half your life, for those 4 days, you're spending more time at work than you are at home. You will see it's not like you leave the firehouse on your own to go and do things. No, you are there together. You're in the truck. If you're going to get coffee, 4 of you are in the truck to go and get coffee. If you're eating dinner, 4 of you are eating dinner, or 8 or 12 or whatever, right? And yet you kid yourselves, and we all do this in our communities, you kid yourselves that, oh, fuck, I don't think Josh is great, but, if he needs anything, he'll ask me. But you won't. No. Because we don't. And this whole thing in these, like, emergency services and military, we're like, reach out for help. Like, how's that going? Suicide, mental health, all that stuff, it's not going down in any of these communities. It's going up in all of them. So this whole awareness of mental health shit was great. Now it's just fucking mental masturbation because everyone's aware of it. Yep. This whole reach out for help, people don't reach out for help. So we've got to start kicking the doors down and going in and getting them. We've got to actually start having the courage to have those chats.
And I think that's a change that I see that's prominent. We need to change that because, if you've got someone on shift and I try and I'm trying to be conscious of doing that. And it's because it's that when I was a peer support officer, I always had the analogy and having a conversation with someone I would use, and I created it because that's how I felt. It was like I'm constantly hovering my foot over the brake pedal.
Awesome.
So driving a car, do I pull up here? And I guess that's the tricky part of that conversation. A lot of people want to help, but they're afraid to have the conversation in case it causes that downward spiral. But it's that simple. Are you okay? Is everything okay? You're just not your normal self.
And Jando, it sounds so wanky. Role model this with me in a serious way, right? So you're the guy struggling. I'm me. I'm whoever. I go, hey mate, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Cool. Good chat. That's where it stops.
Yep.
Or I go, you go, not too bad. You go, what do you mean, mate? Because you seem like you've been off lately. Yeah. Are you all good?
Oh, mate, got a bit going on.
What's going on?
Stuff at home,
Like what?
Just can't seem to find a common area at home. We're arguing all the time.
Right. And then I sound pretty aggressive when I say it. Ask the question short and then shut the fuck up. Because the person will fill the space or they won't. And if you say to me, hey, mate, fuck off. I go, sorry, mate, but I would rather risk that than get a phone call tomorrow that go, they found you hanging in your fucking closet because I didn't have the courage to go, what's wrong, mate? You don't seem good. And we've all lost those people, right? And it sounds very melodramatic, but I go, that's the worst case scenario. Other people suicide over 50 years. in horrible relationships, financial struggles, drugs, alcohol, gambling, porn, affairs, estranged kids, like whatever. And it's not like any of us are Robinson Crusoe. Everybody has challenge. Every human does, and then you just magnify that by a factor because of the jobs that we do and the personalities we are that drag us into those jobs. So my advice to people, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified in this stuff. I deliberately didn't do a psychology degree because it would limit the way that I could talk. If I was a psychologist and I was texting my client going, hey, C word, do it, then there would be a problem. So I go, that's why I don't do that. But I'm extremely cautious, and I've done a lot of work to be able to understand human behaviour. I had a police tactical dude, a very, very short story. We ended up in a cafe at Kangaroo Point with another dude. So I didn't know him, but I knew of him. He was at the point where he was going to kill himself. I spoke to him a Friday morning because another guy that I knew from overseas called me and said, do you remember old mate? I said, yep, I don't know him, but I know of him. He just rang me and said he's going to kill himself. I said, tell him to call me. So he called me. He goes, I'm going to kill myself this afternoon. I said, oh, cool. Do you know what time? He goes, yeah, 2 o'clock. I said, why? He goes, my kids get home at 3. And they were 9 and 7-year-old boys, or 7 5-year-old boys. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, Jesus. I said, all right, mate, I'll see you at this cafe at 11 a.m. He goes, I don't really want to go. I said, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. That wasn't a question. If you don't go to the fucking cafe, I'll come to your house. Oh, okay, I see that. So he comes there. And again, I go, this is an extreme version. I've had thousands of these conversations. This is the most violent I've been in. I sit with this guy and I know him. He spent 10 years in Iraq as a private security contractor, police tactical dude. He's been just a fucking door kicker and a gunfighter for years. Super self-destructive, very similar personality to me. He sits down and he goes, on the phone he said to me, we've never met. I said, no. He goes, you know me? I go, I know of you. He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm told we're very similar, if not the same person. I said, yeah, I'm told the same thing. He goes, cool. I said, okay. So we sit down, we start having this chat. He turns up, he's like a fit dude, hard, covered in tough stickers. I'd got another guy to come along who knew him, who was a mutual friend. We're sitting in this cafe, the very short version of the story. He's here like telling me a sad story and then he's like, I'm going to kill myself. I go, okay. I said, so mate, you chose, joined the cops, chose to do police tactical stuff. You chose to go to Iraq as a private security contractor 10 years. You wanted to be the hero and yeah. And I go, now you're going to be a fucking coward, take your life and pass that straight to your kids. Is that what you're going to do? I said, that's putrid. He goes, what did you say? C word? And he's shaking. And I'm like, this is going to get hectic. And we're at this cafe on the cliffs at Kangaroo Point, so it's a pretty swish joint. And we're just sitting there and I'm like, if you don't like what I'm saying, C word, I don't give a fuck. I said, because you need to harden up. I said, you need to start fucking looking after yourself because you're going to pass this to your kids. Kids of people who suicide are 70% more likely to suicide. I said, so you chose this life and you're going to pass it to them. I go, what sort of fucking man are you? The other dude, who's an ex-tactical dude, big hard dude, he's squeezing my leg under the table like, shut the fuck up. I said, get your fucking hand off me. I go, if he doesn't like it, we can go out there and throw hands. I said, I don't give a fuck. And he's a hard dude, I was scared. And then he stands up, I stand up, and we're in the middle of this cafe, and he's like, you don't know me. I said, throw him. I said, but ask yourself the question. If I'm wrong, why are you so fucking angry? And he burst into tears. I'm in tears, I'm hugging him, we're standing in this cafe, everyone in the cafe is looking at us, the weirdest thing. And then he got himself sorted, right? I haven't spoken to him for a couple of years, but that was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and by all reports he was well and truly sorted. I spoke to him twice. He had heaps of other mates who tried to help him. Now, I'm not saying to do that. Do not freaking do that. That's an extreme case. But we need to have that courage to kick the door down. Now, don't go into it arrogantly either. You've got to be really emotionally vulnerable. We had a whole lot of chat for an hour and a half before that where I was like, hey, brother, I get it. Like, my heart breaks for you. I understand. I've been there. But it wasn't, me cuddling him wasn't working. It was just helping him stay in his sad loop. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? If someone flatlines when you're doing CPR on them, what do you do? Hit them with a defib or something?
Keep going.
Yeah. And if you break their ribs or whatever to keep them alive, so you've got to break some eggs sometimes to make an omelette. Very rarely, but you've got to be willing. But the first step of that, and there'll be a lot of people listening to this go, fuck you, I can have tough chats with people, that'll be fucking easy. That's 1% of the time. The other 99% of the time, you've got to be emotionally vulnerable and go, hey, Jando, mate, I'm worried about you, brother. I've known you for 7 years and you seem like you're really flat, mate. Like, what's happening? I've been through some shit too. Like, I might be able to help you with it. And something you said before, mate, is so fucking important. Where we go, we don't have the conversation because we're scared we're going to tip people over the edge. I can speak from myself and hundreds of people that I've had this conversation with, and every one of them, bar none, agreed. If you are suicidal, or if you are at that bad a place, you've considered taking your life. You say to me, hey mate, are you okay? I'm a bit worried about you. Have you thought about hurting yourself? I'm not going to go, fuck, good idea mate, never thought of that, go hang myself. It's a bullshit excuse we use to keep from having to have those chats.
Yeah. Vulnerability.
Yeah, if someone's that bad, like, mate, I can tell you, like, I was extremely good at masking this stuff. I still have cops reach out to me that I work with and go, fuck mate, you were the last guy I ever thought was going to go through this. Like, no, you were a million miles an hour. No way I thought that was you. So often the people who are working the hardest, doing the most stuff, whatever, can often be the people who are masking the most too. So, it's not the guy or girl sitting in the corner sucking their thumb. It's often the dude who's like, hey, let's go let's hit the gym, let's go train, let's do whatever, let's drink piss, what are you doing on the weekend? It's that personality too, right? But you live with each other. How often, like how long have you been at your station?
Current station only 12 months because it's only just open, but previous to that 10 years.
Cool. So you had reasonably the same amount of people for 10 years. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm in the same situation.
Cool. Yep. So you had almost like before this one?
Yeah, yep. So I was probably 5 years, 6 years at the last one, yep.
So you had 5 or 10 years each with predominantly the same group of people.
Yep.
Did you get to a point where someone would walk in the room at the start of a shift and you go, oh, shit?
Yeah, 100%.
And then they'd go, I had to fight my missus or fuck them, whatever. So you can, like, it's not like you're oblivious to it, right? We all feel it. But we go, oh, someone should talk to Josh. He doesn't seem good. And as a station officer, I'm sure you will get people come to you and go, hey, I'm worried about Josh. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, cool. You know who's better to talk to Josh? His workmate that he gets on with. Because you're also going to get people that you work with that you don't like. That's human nature. So if the boss, and I'm no, mate, obviously having spent a bit of time with you, Jando, you're obviously a very down-to-earth sort of guy. But if you're new at a station as a station officer and there's people who've been there together for 5 years, then they're probably better people to have that conversation.
Oh, definitely.
And the easy tick the box is to go, oh, hey, boss or Jando, hey, mate, I'm worried about Josh. I think there's something going on. Can you look after? Like, what should we do? And they go, thank fuck, wash their hand and walk away. You go, like and I'm very cautious about what I say because I know you lost 2 firefighters 12 months ago or 18 months ago on a fire, whatever it was, right? But I go, if someone was in the structural fire and they were perishing, do you stand around and look for someone else to go in and get them?
No, it's all hands on deck. Everyone's all in.
Everyone goes in, right? Then why don't you do that when it's the mental or emotional version of that?
Because it's hard.
Fucking oath it is, mate.
It's fucking difficult to do.
It is. You know what's harder is watching someone go through shit that's worse because you didn't jump in earlier. And mate, you're all, everyone who listens to this podcast joined the job they do because they want to help people. But it's like the uniform is like kryptonite. Oh, I fucking know. And we're just scared to look like cockheads. But I'm willing to risk it. And I sound like such a cockhead when I say this. But I've had so many messages from people that online, like Instagram shit, people I've never met who listen to my podcast or have read my book or whatever, and they go, I was going to kill myself and I didn't because I heard your story, I did your thing. And I'm like, wow. And I often get very challenged because I don't enjoy putting out content on social media. I don't love any of that stuff. But I go, I don't think I'm the only person who can do it, but I'm also like, well, why wouldn't I do that? I didn't start doing this to make a business out of it. I started it because I just wanted to help people who had been through shit I'd been through. I just wanted to teach some people different things. Like old school firefighters going to teach new guys, the tips and the tricks to make the job easier, right? So why don't we do that with this?
It's a very valid question, and we should be good at it.
And you guys are great.
Considering what we do.
But you guys are starting this.
Yeah, and that's been our general conversation.
But there's no fucking hopefully.
Yeah.
Like you are starting, and it took courage to do it, and I applaud you for doing it because you're putting yourselves out there, right? And it's a great, like people listening to this is awesome. And if you've got there's 3,000 fires, I think, in Queensland, is that right? Yeah. So if you get X amount of people that sit and listen to this and go, oh my God, that was brilliant, whatever. And then they go, oh, that was great. and then you do nothing with it, it's like pissing in a wetsuit. It
Yep.
just gives you a warm feeling and achieves fucking nothing. So take this, and my sad story, who gives a fuck? Like, no one cares. But go, oh, wow, if you feel like shit, you can be happy. I'm living proof of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Jenny Craig of mental health is what I joke about. It's like I was 150 kilos now I'm fit, and I use that facetiously. But I go, it has been hard, but in hindsight, it wasn't that hard compared to having lived like shit for the last 20 years. Because I probably wouldn't be here, or I would be in a massively dysfunctional and destructive life, which I'm just not.
And, without us knowing, we're actually doing the hard work, doing our job anyway.
Absolutely.
So it's not much to shift that thought to putting that same level amount of work into that mental health.
And if I was sitting here talking to, and you guys were two investment bankers, right? And there's been very harsh. But investment bankers probably aren't driven by their altruistic need to help other people. They're driven by money and by that as a quantified result. So they're not going to have generally, have the personality that is driven to help other people necessarily. I'm sure there are some. You guys are. That's why you're fucking that's why you're firefighters. Because you want to help other people. You are literally willing to risk your life to go to a structure and drag other people that you've never met out of a fucking fire that could easily kill you to their benefit. And in some respects, many of you would rather perish yourself than have someone else perish that you could have saved. Like, you'd rather risk dying than to have someone die and go, fuck, maybe I could have got that person. There'll be plenty of people who are haunted by shit like that, I'm sure. This is a thing where there is no risk to you. You're not going to die being vulnerable and trying to help someone or help yourself.
100%. And something that, I've noticed a couple of chats we've had now is like these analogies, like that decon analogy. Another one that we've spoken offline about, which I really liked, was making the analogy between physical fitness and mental fitness.
Yeah, totally.
And applying that same thought process into, like, if you want to be healthy, you look after your fitness and you invest in your fitness. If you want to be mentally healthy, well,
Totally, mate.
let's coin that term and look at doing all the things that you've been speaking about for the last hour and a half, whatever, and using that same thought process, because we'll happily go and hit the gym every day, but we won't put the time and effort into these
Totally.
other areas.
And that's the reason I've got all these stupid analogies is because I go, people remember that.
Yes.
Like, you remember that what if someone came to my house and spoke to my family like that or whatever. That's why I coin all these stupid things, because it is exactly that, mate. Why do I go to the gym most days or walk or do something? Because I want to be physically fit and wear my little brother's T-shirt, like literally. What do I do to be mentally and emotionally healthy is the same stuff. Meditate, journal, sleep well, eat well, educate myself, do whatever. And I do it every day. I don't meditate once a week. Now, sometimes I go a month without doing it because I feel really good and then I don't do it. And then I go, I feel a little bit stressed. I go, you fucking moron. You've been doing this shit for 20 years. And I go, so I'm not consistent all the time. I'm not perfect at it. I fuck it up all the time. You're never going to be perfect at any of it. But doing something's better than doing nothing. Drinking 6 stubbies a night is not fucking looking after your mental health. That's avoidant self-medication. And if you don't deal with the pain today, you're going to bank it till tomorrow, and then you're going to put the same deposit of another bit of pain in tomorrow, and you're going to pay compounding interest on it. That's why a lot of guys that get to our age in their mid-50s are cooked. They're fat, they're sad, and it's too late. I see cops, like I'm seeing waves of it now. I'm like, wow. Because I feel like I'm your age, Josh. Like, I don't feel like I'm mid-50s. I'm like, it just isn't, I don't know what you're supposed to feel like, but it just isn't a thing for me. I think it's a Peter Pan effect. I won't grow up. But I look at guys that are retiring at 60 in the cops, and they're 60s young, particularly at 55, it feels young. But I'm looking at these guys going, like, you will probably live for another 30 years. Half, again, of the amount of life you've lived. And at 60, they're like, oh, it's too late. I'm too old. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I got a mate of mine who I always use this example, was a senior dude in the cops, great bloke, retired about a year ago. And I caught up with him a couple of years ago. I caught up with him again just before Christmas, and we had a similar chat, not as bad, but a couple of years ago, I caught up with him at that same cafe, Kangaroo Point. I used to go a lot. They don't let me go back anymore. That's not true. And he turned up and he's carrying weight and his back sore and blah, blah, and he's got some stuff going in his life. And he goes, oh, you know, and mate, 42 years or 40 years or something in the cops, like it's a fucking big, it's a long process. Like there's a fair amount of shit in that. And he's been seeing that psych that I was talking about for a while and doing some great stuff. And I say, how you going? He goes, oh, you know, I'm just, you know, I don't know, I just don't feel like I'm, you know, where I want to be. But, you know, like, but I'm, you know, I'm almost 60. And whenever he sees me for the last couple of years, the last few years, he goes, here he is, the last of the hard men, he always says. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? He goes, look at you. He goes, you're fit, you don't fuck around. He goes, you just, he goes, I don't know. And this guy used to be a savage, like a hard dude in the cops, very tough guy, like very, very, very tough. Played union, was a really hard dude. I was sitting talking to him and he's like, oh, you know, blah, blah. And I said, mate, you're just a fucking sad sack. I said, you need to get your balls back. I said, you need to get some drive and some aggression back in your life. And he's like, oh, you know, and him and I used to do CrossFit years ago together. And he goes, oh, you know, I said, are you training? He goes, he goes, yeah, I've been doing Pilates once a week. I said, what are you, my fucking mum? I said, my mum's 79 and she does fucking HIIT twice a week. I go, what do you mean you do Pilates once a week? I said, well, like, who are you? And he just laughed and I was savage with him. And at the end, but all because I love him, you know, I'm like, I love you, brother. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it's not all harsh, don't get me wrong. Then we walk out of the cafe, he gives me a hug. He goes, I love you, mate. He goes, fuck. He goes, I don't enjoy our chats, but God, they're beneficial. He goes, you're the only person that ever holds me to account. And I go, brother, I love you. I'm not trying to be hard on you, mate. I said, but Jesus Christ. I said, fuck, you depress me with your sadness. Like, get your shit together. Then I go and catch up with that psych mate of mine a few weeks later. I said, I caught up with old mate. He goes, yeah, I know. He told me. I said, oh, cool. He goes, he came in the next day. I had to put him back together because he was so sad. And I said, oh, right. I said, oh, shit. He goes, no, it's brilliant, mate. He goes, I can't do that. He goes, that's awesome for our personalities. Now, again, I'm giving you all these examples. I spend 95% of my time being super loving and vulnerable and open with people, like talking to, you know, I've got 2 young women who are in the mid-30s who are like daughters to me, who I'm so loving to, like goddaughters like that, my kids, friends of mine, kids. I had a 20-year-old girl ring me recently I met her mum through some work I did for the company she worked for, and the dad's very, very difficult, a lot of violence, a lot of stuff going on 5 or 6 years ago. And I said back then, if you need anything, let me know. I'm happy to help the girls. Went and met him a few times and said, look, I'll be like a father figure and uncle to you, blah, blah. So I haven't spoken for probably a year. And this girl rang me. She texted me, goes, could you give me a call? I said, hey, sweetheart. So I rang. I said, hey, sweetheart, what's going on? And she'd had some challenging stuff go on, some stuff about her dad come up around some abuse. Like, it was pretty hectic stuff. And I'm on the phone for an hour. I'm like, I love you, sweetheart. You'll be okay, darling. I said, this is tough stuff, but you're a strong woman. Look at, you've done this and that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Definitely need to go and talk to a psych, blah, blah. And her mum, who's amazing, I love to death. I said, is mum there? She goes, yep. I said, put her on speaker. And I said, okay, here's the thing. She had some problematic stuff with a boyfriend. I said, do this. I said, put this prompt into ChatGPT, get it to spit out a message to this kid, send it to me. I'll make sure it's good. We'll send it back, send it to him. I said, and they were worried he was going to come to the house. I said, if he does that, I'll come over. She lives a couple of hours away. I said, if it becomes problematic, I'll come up and help you handle it, or we'll call the cops and get them. I said, don't worry. She goes, oh, thank you so much. And the mum's like, thank you. And I'm like, no dramas. So a lot of my time is spent in that loving, nurturing part, right? So because I do not want people to think that I'm a hard guy, but I'm talking about our personalities. Having that, I love you, you're amazing, you're beautiful, let me help you conversation is probably not going to work with the people you guys work with. Fair call?
Yep.
So we've got to be you've got to speak in the language that we use with each other. Like, I'm sure, how much shit do you put on each other
Loads.
at work, right? You know, it's like, that's how you know someone at work loves you, because they fucking treat you like the person they hate the most in the world. If you walk in and people go, oh, hi Josh, how are you? Have you got a good day? You go, holy fuck, the boys are off me today. I wonder what I've done.
Yep.
Fair call?
100%.
So the conversation you're going to go and have with someone, if it's you, Josh, if I'm normally, hey, dickhead, what are you doing? Like, you know, nice tough stickers, you idiot. Like, couldn't you find a shirt that fitted you? Ha ha, like something like that. And then I come and I go, oh, mate, are you okay? You seem really sad.
Yep.
Like, are you going to talk to someone? You're going to like, fuck off, idiot. It's weird.
Yep.
If I'm like, hey, C-word, are you fucking, and not in front of people either, which is a trap a lot of people make. So let's be super clear. You're not going to, what's the room you all hang out in? What do you call that?
Oh, the mess room.
Mess room. So it's not going to be in the mess room, right? If you've got 8 dudes in the mess room and I'm sitting back and you walk in, I'm not going to go, hey, what the fuck's wrong with you? You've been a sad sack for the last 3 weeks. Like, then you're just a dickhead.
Yep.
But you walk in, I go, hey, and within your 12-hour shift, I'm sure you're going to find time to be alone with that person and go, hey, mate, can I chat to you for a second about something? Yeah, sure. It's like, mate, are you okay? Because you just seem like you got the shits, mate. Like you seem like you got the weight of the world on your fucking shoulders, and you're normally not like that. What's going on? It doesn't have to be all this softly psychologist wrap you up and hug you language, because it's inauthentic for us. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And that's, through these conversations we're having, that's the thing I keep thinking about is being authentic and,
100%.
and genuine.
Yep.
And also
have integrity.
Being aware enough to go, there's something going on with my mate.
Totally.
Like he or she has shifted their
Totally.
demeanour. And like, you've got to be present for that and understand the people that you're working with
Totally.
as well.
And understand your target. And I use that deliberately. Because if the person you're going to help, you don't have a relationship with, you're not the person to help them. Because if you and I don't like each other, if you think I'm a cockhead and I go, what's wrong with you, mate? You're going to be like, how's fuck? I don't trust this bloke.
Yep.
You're trying to stitch me up, which happens.
Yeah.
So so someone who's a fucking arrogant cockhead's not going to help you and is not going to read it. So you're probably not going to be a problem. But if you're the person, go, how does this person engage or interact with me? Do we have a good relationship? Do we not? Assess that with a little bit of intelligence and then go, okay, so if the three of us work in a station together and I'm like, I haven't spent a lot of time with Josh, but fuck, I've got a gut feel he's not good. I know him and Jando are mates. They play golf on the weekend or they do whatever. Then I'll go to you and go, hey mate, can I talk to you about something? I want to keep between us. I've just noticed Josh seems a bit off. Have you noticed? You go, nah. Oh mate, can you just keep an eye on it? Because I've noticed there's just a few things he said. I don't know, mate, just a gut feel. Like how often when you fight fires or you go to jobs, is it by gut feel?
Yeah.
A lot.
Right, 90-something%. And then we all wrap it into, like I look back now and go, I was brilliant. The more violent and more hectic, the better I was because my brain didn't have time to get involved. I just followed instinct. My gut, my instinct, gut feel, intuition, whatever it is for policing was amazing because I didn't have time to overthink and fuck it. So that's what I do 99% of the time when I'm dealing with people now. It's all gut feel. I go, like talking to that young woman the other day and there was a whole lot more hectic, very fucking challenging conversation that with her about sexual things, about actual sexual acts, physical interactions, a whole lot of different things. I'd go, hey, sweetheart, I really care about you. I love you, right? She goes, yep. I go, okay. I said, I want to ask you a question now that's going to be really confronting potentially for you, but it really helps me understand what's going on. When that thing happened, did this happen or did that happen? And I'm like, should I, as a 55-year-old guy who's not a psychologist, does nothing, be having this chat with this 20-year-old young woman? And I go, fucking oath I should, because she reached out to me. If I go, this is so hard, I can't talk about it, then what am I telling her? And so we had all these chats, and at the end, she was just so beautiful. She's like, oh, thank you. She goes, Shaun, you're amazing. You've just always looked after us. I go, honey, it's not hard, right? And I hang up the phone and go, that was an hour well spent, right? So you've got to be, like, I can't stress this enough. You might not have the answers, but you don't need the answers. You only need to be able to have a conversation. You only need to be able to start it. Because I can tell you, have you both been through really challenging times in your life?
Yep.
Did you feel super isolated?
Yep.
Did you feel like you're the only person in the world going through it?
Yep.
Did you have anybody that you shared it with? Probably not. Which is perfect. But then if somebody else spoke to you and went, oh, mate, I've been through exactly that same thing, did it help?
100%.
Because the problem with these things is you feel like you're the only person on the fucking planet who's ever been through it. Rationally, you know that's not true. But when you can have that sort of, if I'm talking to you, mate, to Josh, just as an example, I go, oh, hey, brother, like, how old are your kids?
7 and 4.
Cool. So you're just coming out of what I call the trenches, I would say, right? Like when they were 3 and born, it's a freaking nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
No sleep, hectic, fucking disaster. You and your missus probably at each other's throats, like whatever. That's a pretty standard thing, right? I go, how often do blokes our age talk to guys your age about that? Never.
Yeah, never.
Like every young guy or girl I talk to, or couple I talk to, particularly who get married, having kids, I go, hey, prepare yourself. When you have kids, you're in the fucking trenches. It sucks. It's the most beautiful thing you'll go through, but it's one of the most challenging and stressful times you will ever have in your life. If it's hard and it feels shit, you're doing it right. And they go, oh, wow. because everyone's like, #blessed, best baby ever. Oh, my baby slept for 14 hours last night. And I know people that I'm like, I know you're struggling, and yet you're in other places telling people how amazing it is. Like, so we lie to each other about shit. So you go, go back when your kids were that age, right? And you go, and I go, hey mate, let's say like, actually I'll take it away from you. There's actually a client of mine I helped out recently, worked with him a couple of years ago in his business, and then he's going through a divorce. Super challenging, some real mirrors on my, the girl's mum and I. Actually, can you just write down the girl's mum for me?
Yep.
Because I want to come back to something really important about perspective. So I said to him, he reached out to me, he texted me one day, he goes, mate, have you got half an hour? I really need to chat. And I don't talk to him often. So I rang him and said, what's going on? And he goes, I really need to catch up with you. I go, yeah, mate, no dramas. When I met him, I looked at his marriage. I was like, oh, that's not lasting for a number of reasons. I go catch up with him. We're sitting at his office and he's in tears. He goes, I've realised I've got to end it. I go, okay, how come? And he went through all the reasons. I'm like, yeah, mate, I get it. 100% understand. He goes, I know you've been through it. He goes, I think I'm going to go through some really challenging things. I could lose time with my daughter. But I'm like, okay. I said, all right, mate, here's some things that are very, very likely going to happen. And I spelled them out. And they were pretty challenging things. I said, so you need to prepare yourself in this way. Get a lawyer, do this, do this, do this, do this. I said, I know you're going to feel really harsh. I said, it's not going to look after itself. You're going to have to fucking grow a set and do what you need to do. And I said, you're actually doing this to protect you, your daughter, and her mum. I said, because the probability if I have assessed her mum's personality correctly, she's probably not going to do that. She's going to be a lot more reactive and potentially destructive. Now, this is not, to be super clear, a man-woman thing. I've met plenty of women who've gone through it with men who are fucking assholes. So I'm not a woman hater at all. So I go, this is what you need to do. He goes, yep. And I spoke to him a handful of times, and it's actually going supremely well considering. It's still not great. There's still some challenge. But he's put structures in place to keep them within the bounds so it can't go bad. I made massive mistakes where I'm like, oh, it'll sort itself out. It'll be fine, because I was kicking the can down the road because I was scared of the outcome. Because of my experience in that stuff, it was so beneficial for that guy. So both of you and everyone listening to this have had your challenges. So when I'm sitting down talking to someone and I go, hey, listen, I had a guy, and please forgive me for telling you all these stories. I'm not trying to sound like a hero, but what I'm trying to do is just show people how you do it. I've got a young dude who's 30, who's a dog handler in my old unit. He's in Mount Isa. I know he would not ever bother. Whenever I've talked about him on the podcast, he tells me to do it more because people need to know who he is. He's a superstar. He's a fucking great bloke. His name's Joel. Awesome dude. In May last year, I met him a couple of years ago. I was doing a talk at a national symposium for the Brisbane Dog Unit. I did one of my workshops there, and probably the most savage I've ever done one. Like I was in tears at one point. I was absolutely feeding it to him more than I ever had. And he was in that room, and he came out and like introduced himself and blah blah, and we became friends. He'd call me about different things. Really good young dude. He rings me in May last year, and goes Tuesday. It was about Tuesday afternoon at 3:00. And he'd rang me the day before, and I'd missed his call, hadn't called him back. He rang, I said, oh, sorry, brother. I said, I totally forgot to call you back. He goes, doesn't matter, mate. He goes, he's got 3 sons. Middle son, Ollie, 5. He goes, Ollie's in hospital. He's on life support. They don't know if he's going to make it. I didn't know who else to call. And I was like, Jesus. I said, okay, mate, what's going on? So he ran me through things. The kid had been sick the night before, went into hospital. I woke up the next day, wasn't great. He was septic. Had got sepsis in his blood, so blood infection, because he had some kidney dysfunction they weren't aware of. Got life flighted to Brisbane, RFDS to Brisbane, was in the coma for 4 weeks, died. So they had to turn the machine off. So I was up there every second day. I was on the phone to him 2 or 3 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day, talking about what happens if Ollie dies, how are you going to handle that? What are we going to do with this? What are you going to do? It was super tough, but I was like, and I feel emotional. But he rang me. I was like, well, I can't let this kid down and his wife down. So I was like, how do I approach this? And I spoke to him about it. I said 2 or 3 times he rang me at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and was like, the doctors don't think he's going to make it till the morning. What do we do? I said, you do your fucking job, C word. I said, that's what you do. I said, I'll anchor you, you anchor everyone else. We'll deal with you later. Your job is to fucking do what you do. You kick doors and solve problems, solve the problem. work the fucking problem. You don't get to fall in the heap, do your job. Next day, he'd call me and go, he's come good. So we rode this roller coaster for a month. This dude is, I look at him now and his wife, so they're, whatever that is, 9 months past Ollie's death. And they are exceptional in the way that they've bounced through it, the resilience. They've got a 7 and 3-year-old boys, 8 and 3-year-old boys. So how they've dealt with those two boys with losing their brother, like they've been fucking unbelievable. And it's because they do the work. Like he's doing the work, she's doing the work. They're very willing to, like they just haven't been victims of the death of their son. And I'm like, holy shit. And he says to me, mate, without you, we wouldn't have been able to do it. I said, I don't accept that's true. I said, but whatever I told you to do, you fucking did. And he goes, because you didn't give me an option. So, mate, I was at ICU, the kids all like tubes running out of him or whatever, and I'm standing in the room with him and I'd slide the door closed and go, listen, fuck you better fucking get your shit together because your wife and your sons and everyone else in your family, he is definitely, and she's amazing. She's super strong. But his mum and dad and other people just could not cope with it. Like, I met his mum and dad and I was like, and they're beautiful people, don't get me wrong. But I met them and they're sort of my age, a little bit older than me, and I was like, Jesus. Like, they're not doing it. And I was desperately hoping there was someone else in his family that was going to do it. And I was like, I had a huge choice, but for me there was no choice. But he did the work, he did what was necessary. And for me it's going, the willingness to fucking like work on yourself, look after other people, all this stuff. The fact that I get emotional in here and people can hear it, I couldn't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. Like it honestly doesn't bother me in the slightest because you go, this shit is so important. But so much of it comes back to how willing are we to do the hard work in the conversations, in the work for us, in the chats with your wives or your husband or your kids or your workmates or whatever. It's all about, like, it's easy to be a tough guy. Like, I can walk down the street with my fucking wraparound sunnies and think I'm a hard man and look at people like I'm going to murder them so nobody wants to fight me. But when it comes to these conversations, even as I get emotional about that, I have an immense amount of fear and imposter syndrome that comes up that I go, fuck, now you're going to sound like a cockhead, you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I honestly don't give a fuck because it's more important to me that we make an impact on people in this conversation. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
100%.
And I think there's a lot of people that need that directness of stand up and do your job.
Yeah.
Whereas some people are so afraid of that conversation, say, oh, look, let's all just sit around and just...
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, mate, just think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Burn some incense. Have you got some crystals? Put them around your neck. Like, none of that's working, right?
Yeah.
I'll come back to the girl's mum stuff. The reason that I wanted to say that, what I used to... There's a thing in your brain called a reticular activating system. We process about 4,000 pieces of information subconsciously per minute, about 400 consciously. So as we're sitting here, you'll hear an air conditioning motor or birds or whatever outside, but you won't notice it until you say it. The other way to think about it is, what's your truck, your twin cab? Is it a Mazda? No, what? A BT50? Yeah. So what'd you have before that?
BT50.
Cool. What'd you have before that?
Toyota Hilux.
Cool, thank fuck. So when you had your Hilux and you've got your first BT50, what colour was that BT50?
Blue.
Cool. Before you were looking at BT50s, how many did you see versus how many you saw after you were looking at them?
Yeah, probably not many.
So you understand what I mean? Same thing, like I saw your car, mate, the Passat, same thing. Before you buy a car, you never see it. Once you buy it, like, oh my God, everyone drives these. I'm a genius. It's the best car ever. That's what that filter does. It takes the 10% of thoughts from your subconscious to your conscious mind. What you focus on, think about, perceive, you will find the 10% of information. If you think the fire department's fucked, you'll find that. If you think relationships suck, you'll find that. If you think men are assholes and women are crazy, you'll find that. The reason I call my daughter's mum the girl's mum is because what I used to call her, I couldn't say on this podcast. And only a few years ago, when Rachel and I were together, I said, oh, that person, and use that word. And she's like, babe, she goes, She goes, I know you have real challenge. She goes, do you want to be the sort of person who calls his daughter's mum that word? I was like, fuck. Great point. So I go, the girl's mum is a very different person to my ex-wife. I don't call her my ex-wife because my ex-wife is a combative, difficult person. My daughter's mum is somebody who we created my daughters together. Simple shit like that makes a fucking massive difference. It's all about perception. Glass half full or empty, all the stuff we hear, but it's that stuff that is the actual mechanism of your brain where if you look at I look at life and go, life happens for me, not to me. I have 1,000 of these stupid sayings. So when something goes to shit, I go, cool, life happens for me, not to me. How's this an opportunity? What's this guide me towards something better? If something at work, like if, something happens at work and, so say a client calls me and someone calls me and goes, I want to work with you, blah, blah. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen very often. But if they remember going to work with you and I go, cool, then they go, actually, I changed my mind. They go, okay, cool. Maybe that helped me avoid something with that person. Who knows? Like it sounds a bit woo-woo, but I go, how do you know what the thing is? What do you reckon most of our filters, that reticular activating system filter is set to in these jobs?
Negative.
Looking for problems, looking for danger, looking for challenge. So you go, as a cop, it was terrible. I was driving through the valley one day in New Farm when I was in the dog squad in the afternoon, and I saw a dad with his 3-year-old daughter, and I thought, I wonder if he's abusing her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that PC the way I thought it. Now if I see that, I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Look at that dad with his daughter. Because I was so wired into people suck.
Looking for trouble.
Yeah. And then you realise with these jobs, that part, we're probably more likely to be like that to do that job. Then you get in the job and you get hardwired into it. Like soldiers are fucking terrible for it. And then all of a sudden we get to this point where everything in our life's focused on what sucks and what doesn't work. And you're not seeing the other freaking 90% of your life that's amazing. And that's when I think it's just that gratitude stuff, that meditation, all that stuff helps with the mechanism of your brain to stop focusing on what doesn't work.
I think, what's the other one you used recently? Last time we spoke, nothing's permanent.
Yeah, totally, mate.
It was about 2 nights later on shift. We had a young girl and car into a telegraph pole. Very minor, no injuries.
Sure. Freaking out.
17.
Yeah.
Young girl. And we got there. No one's there. No QS, or no ambulance, no police.
Did you say run? Did you say, hey, run? Get out of here? No, I'm joking.
Quick, you got 5.
Yeah, go.
And,
run down the middle of the street. The dog can't track you.
Yeah, I said, hey, Dale, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the tears, she had this bad day. Her boyfriend cheated on her and dumped me. The cat had died the same day. And I just remember before the ambulance came and I grabbed her and I said, hey, listen, you didn't do this on purpose, did you? And she goes, no, honestly, I swear to God, I just come around the corner and I had so much going on my mind that I just jumped the gutter and hit the pole. It's not the normal way I come home. And I said, good. But you realise, Dale, nothing's permanent, don't you?
Awesome.
And I said, I mean that in a good way. All the stuff that's happening now, it won't stay forever. And it's the simple things.
Oh, totally, mate.
You just said.
Totally.
Resonates with not only me giving her the advice, but with her, she went, yeah, I get it. He's a dickhead anyway. I said, good.
But mate, and I look Tando and go, you could have fundamentally changed that kid's life. Like literally the willingness to have that vulnerability in that conversation, which again, how old are you?
53.
So you're a 53-year-old guy, 17-year-old young woman. I'm sure there's part of you like there's always a natural thing to go, maybe I better be careful what I talk to her about, better be careful what this is, blah, 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 like whatever. Like, and that's, I think more so now these days we worry about that, which is sad. But you had the willingness, the emotional intelligence, the willingness to be vulnerable and go, hey, hun, you didn't do that deliberately, did you? She's like, no. You go, cool. Hey, sweetheart, don't stress, nothing's permanent. She'll be 35 fucking years of age going through something and go, I remember when I crashed a car and that extremely handsome old firefighter said to me, nothing's permanent.
She must have hit the pole pretty hard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I hope you checked her for concussion. But so she, she will possibly remember that forever. And I go, it's little things, mate. Like you guys have thrown half a dozen things at me that I go, oh shit, I forgot to even say that. But it's stuck with you for whatever reason, right? And you go, it's also, this is a pretty heavy, deep chat about things, but you go, it's also just the little things. I had a guy a few years ago, I was doing a thing down at Kingscliff and I was with a group of men. I was going to do a talk of this thing with them. And when we're talking about this stuff, and this guy goes, mate, it's fucking amazing. He's a school teacher, this guy. He goes, you just don't know. The smallest interaction, you take just 10 seconds out of your day to have an interaction with someone, can change their life. And I go, yeah. And he goes, so he was a teacher for this young bloke at a high school. They were at, he was at the surf club or something. This kid was sitting on the stairs. He's walking up and it was like the year after, or 2 years after they finished school or something. So I'm walking up the stairs, this young bloke, he goes, he was a bit of a rogue kid. He goes, oh, g'day, Mr. O'Gorman. And he goes, I go, oh, g'day, Billy. He goes, call me Shaun, whatever. And he goes, oh, g'day, Shaun. He goes, how you going, mate? Yeah, oh, yeah. He goes, fuck, you're a good kid, mate. He goes, I know you got yourself in trouble. He goes, geez, you're a funny bastard. He goes, I used to love teaching you. He goes, you're such a good kid. He goes, mate, you gave me so many laughs. And he goes, the kid was like, oh, yeah, thanks, Shaun. Thanks, Mr. O'Gorman. Oh, yep. He goes, all right. And the teacher goes, sorry, I've got to keep going, mate. No worries, shook his hand, walked up the stairs. He goes, he saw that kid months later. And he goes, that kid comes up to him and goes, you know that night you saw me on the stairs, I was about to leave and go and jump off the bridge and kill myself. Wow. Because my girlfriend split up with me, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you stopped and spoke to me and it stopped me doing it. Like a fucking 20-second interaction. And the teacher's like, hey, Billy, fuck, you're a good kid. You were so funny, mate. Like, I love teaching you. Was enough for that kid to go, oh, I'm worth something to someone.
A bit of positive affirmation, yeah.
Like you go...
Especially in our roles too, right? Because we have
100%.
so many of those interactions, and we've
Totally.
got, like, we can get caught up in our job role and, you know, doing the physical actions or whatever, that we sort of can brush over that personal interaction, especially if we haven't built those skills too and we're not comfortable doing it.
Bit of emotional intelligence, yep.
Yeah, 100%. But like you said, that can go either way. Those interactions can go one of two ways, which is have that positive impact, or, you know, that can remain the worst day of their life forever.
And it's such a responsibility for first responders, right? Because you go, again, you guys aren't going, like in the community you're dealt with in a very positive manner, but your jobs aren't, you're not going to people's houses to have a cup of tea because things are going great. No. Like you're never turning up at their house to go, hey, just thought we drop in because you haven't had a fire. Like that doesn't happen, right? So if it's that young girl who crashed a car, or, you know, you're at someone's house and they've gutted the bottom level of their house because they fucking, the chip fat boiled over on the stove or something, right? And you can say to that whomever, like that mum, dad, whoever, and you go, hey, listen, I know this is a really tough day. Nothing's permanent. This will get better. It's not the end of the world. No one's hurt. Everyone makes mistakes. They go, oh, yeah. Or you're there, and I'm not saying you've got to be counsellors. You don't have to fucking say to everyone whatever, gut feel it again. But it's the whole thing that I can hear bosses in the QFD now going, fuck, we don't want people saying shit, like for sure, fuck them. But you go, just when you feel that, like you obviously felt something with that kid, that 17-year-old girl, Jendo, where you were like, oh, whether it reminded you of your daughter or whatever, when probably is what it is, like there's relatability, and you're like, if this was my daughter, I'd want someone to go, hey, hun, don't stress, it's not the end of the world. And then when that kid picks up the phone to ring her dad or her mum or whatever, then she's probably like, oh, yeah, instead of peeking and freaking out, took nothing out of your day, but probably made a big difference to that kid. And I'm fortunate that I'm in a place where I get these messages and things from people all the time that go, hey, you really helped me, blah, 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 blah. But I reckon there's probably 1% of people that I help who I hear from. Because if it's podcasts, books, whatever, people in the street, I don't leave reviews or email and go, hey, you're amazing, thanks, I really love that podcast. I go, that was a fucking good podcast. So I don't give that feedback. Most people don't. We are far more likely to get negative feedback than positive, I think, from most people. So just because people aren't telling you that it impacts them doesn't mean it doesn't impact them. I literally have a thing in my mind where I go, I want to leave people better than I found them, whoever the person is. If it's a young kid who's behind the counter at a coffee shop. So there's a coffee shop I go to in the morning sometimes, and it's run by these Asian dudes. And the guy's name is Ninja. He's a really cool guy. And there's another guy there whose name I don't know. He started there pretty new. And then there's two young women that are always at the counter. So I've been going there maybe 12 months. But like the first couple of times I went in there, they were really friendly. And I said, both, like the two young women there at different times, I said, sorry, hon, what's your name? And one of them goes, oh, I'm Sarah. I said, I'm Shaun. And obviously she knows because it's written on my coffee. And she goes, yeah, I know. And I was like, yeah, of course you know. And I said, that's okay. I said, I just don't like not on your name. And then I asked the other one, her name's Barbara. So I walk in, and this Ninja dude, and he's awesome. He's a super friendly guy to everyone. But I walk in, like I walked in yesterday morning, I think at like 5:10. I walk in the door, And he's like, hey, Shaun, how you going? I say, g'day, Ninja, how are you, mate? He goes, good. And then I see the girls often will turn around and they see me and their face lights up and they smile. I go, hey, Sarah, how you going, darling? How's your morning? She goes, good. I go, pretty busy? She goes, yep. I go, that's awesome. I go, thanks so much. Have a good day, hun. Hope you have a really good time. She goes, cool. I walk out. Now, I don't know, there might be 1,000 other people do that for that kid that day. But I can see in her face, she sees me and there's a recognition that lights up like, oh, this is going to be a really good interaction. I do that with people that I've never met before. I'm going to meet once in my life. I've got a mate of mine who's a cert dude, he like a SWAT guy, and we'll run stairs together every now and again. He's epic guy. Big, hard-looking dude. Really, really lovely guy. Not overly emotional, but we've had epic chats. He's a beautiful bloke. And what I noticed with him, even the last few times we've run stairs, as we're running up and down Howard Smith Wharf, people will walk past and he'll go, good morning, all the time. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I started doing that. And it's amazing, you see, because like the first time I was like, do you know them? He goes, nah. I go, oh. I thought, isn't that weird? I'd never even thought of that. And I go, when was the last time that you were walking, someone said, oh, good morning, oh, g'day, how are you, mate? Like, never happens. No. And it's funny, like I'll do it, like when I think about it, I don't always do it, but I go, oh, good morning, how are you? And you can see people like fucking hold their back, like, oh, he's going to steal my, it's because we're so disconnected. Yeah. So it's back to the simpler shit, right? It's not all about stopping someone kill themselves. It's about just leave people better than you found them. Just be human.
Yeah, so be a good human.
It's not hard.
No, not at all.
And like sort of as you touched on, especially in our roles, like it's a weird thing that like
it's an opportunity, mate.
Yeah, because that negativity is it's we need it for our job. It makes us better at our job. But if we can counteract that and make the environment better.
And I would challenge you, go, the negativity doesn't make you better. The ability to switch emotion off makes you good, right? Because we all have that developed autism where you can switch your emotion off because you've got it, right? Here's a question. If you got off the truck and had that conversation with that girl and someone else heard you or whatever, is there a chance one of your workmates would go, the fuck are you doing? There's a possibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Depending on the crew, yeah.
Yeah. So you might get someone who's a dick. So if you've got someone who's been a dick and goes, oh, fucking, yeah, good work, Josh. What are you, fucking Jesus? You got to save everyone? You go, yeah, actually, I do.
That's it.
How's get fucked sound? You know, like, and it's not easy. It's a lot easier to be a sheep. But Christ, mate, like how have we got to the point where the biggest impact on our species is depression and anxiety? Yeah. And, you know, because we don't have the willingness to engage with each other and just be, you know, it's the cliche of all cliches. We're more connected than ever, but we've never been more distant. It's not hard.
No, it's not.
Simple stuff. So on that, talking about simple stuff.
Yep.
Save us pissing in the wetsuit.
Yep.
Just some quick bits of advice for people that can, you know, those first steps. Perfect. To move into this space. So they go, fuck, I do want to change my mindset.
Cool.
How do I do it?
Easy. Sleep well. Eat well, train, journal, meditate, number one, 100%. Listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts. Okay. If you remind me, shoot me an email, I'll send you a book list and I'll send you a link to an app that's a free meditation app. It's called Insight, INSIGHT, Timer. It's got like 7 million, I don't know, a couple 100,000 free meditations. Do that. 50 minutes in the morning, 50 minutes at night. Jump on ChatGPT. I don't know why people Google anything anymore. I'm not a peasant. I use ChatGPT. I jump on there and go, literally use ChatGPT and put in your prompt. Do you guys use it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's brilliant. Put in your prompt. I'm a 36. What are you?
Yep.
I'm a 36-year-old firefighter with a young daughter that really wants to work on being a better dad and a better husband and work on my mental health. What are some of the best strategies I can start with? And it'll spit out 8. And then go through it and go, cool, I'll do this. I'm a 36-year-old firefighter, I want to deal with blah, 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 blah. Give me a list of 6 books I should read. This, like, fuck me dead. Like, everyone's got a phone. Our phones have got more computing power than Ronald Reagan had to run the free world, right? And we're like, oh, I don't know where to start. It's so hard. I go, we're just lazy. But short of that, the very simple part is just look at yourself in the mirror and go, are you the man or woman you want to be? And if you're not, change, whatever that is. If you know you haven't trained well enough, like if you know you haven't been exercising for ages, go and walk for 30 minutes a day. do your 10,000 steps. Like they go, oh, but 10,000 is not a number. I don't give a fuck. Do 8,000. But do something. And understand there's no perfect solution. So it doesn't have to be perfect to start it. You've got to start. And then work towards whatever. Understand it's going to be hard. Understand you're going to fail. Understand that you're not going to like it. If you're doing shit you love, it's probably the wrong shit. Because I would love to eat donuts for fucking breakfast and never do anything. But it's not going to get me where I want to be. If you are serious about it, I would go take 12 weeks off the piss. Like just as if when I was talking about alcohol, you're like, fucking that idiot, what's he fucking talking about? You should absolutely take 3 months off the grog. If you can take it 3 months off it, then it's a choice as to whether you drink or not. If you can't, then you're addicted to it, right? You might not be clinically alcoholic, but I'm self-medicated with alcohol and other things. If it's porn, if it's gambling, if it's shopping, if it's fucking sport, if it's gaming, if it's any of the things that light up our dopaminergic systems, like the dopamine producing system, the short-term pleasure stuff, that's not good for us. So if you sit down and watch the Broncos on Sunday because that's your thing, cool. If you're spending 12 hours a week gambling on fucking fantasy football or some other shit, then you've got a problem. So I'm not anti anything. I go, for instance, if your thing is you want to do a line of cocaine every month, cool. I don't know anybody that can do that, right? So I'm being facetious, but I also don't give a fuck. Like if you're a firefighter, it's probably a stupid idea. If you get drug tested, you lose your job, choices and consequences. That's what I live my life by. Whatever choice you make, you can live the consequence of it. If you're in your marriage and you're having some struggles now and you do nothing about it and then your husband or wife leaves you, choice and consequence. Don't fucking whinge about it. If you're fucking 55 years of age like I am and you're 20 kilos overweight and you absolutely know you should be doing something about your health and fitness and next week you have a fucking heart attack, don't fucking whinge about it. The biggest thing, somebody described me recently that I'm about brutal accountability, like personal accountability. And I was like, no, it wasn't brutal, something else. But anyway, along those lines. And I was like, I actually really like that because I hold myself very accountable and I fuck things up all the time. Hold yourself accountable, don't kid yourself. Like, people who go, someone who's overweight, I go, what do you weigh? Oh, I don't know, I haven't weighed myself for 2 years. Why? Because you're in denial. And I use, again, I don't care if you're overweight, but that's just I can't say what's your self-worth weigh, right? But go, it's, when you don't feel as good as physically as you could, do something about it. Or accept that you're going to live it with that level of mediocrity. That's also cool. Because if someone says to me, mate, I'm miserable, but I don't want to change it, I go, cool. But nobody ever says that. So take the personal accountability, look at yourself in the mirror and actually assess yourself honestly. And then look and go, if anything in your life doesn't work, how are you creating it? Because you are. Even to the simplicity, and this is super simple, but if you're in the Fireys and you hate it, why don't you leave? Because you have an option. And if you choose not to, then you're choosing to stay, so start putting the things in place to deal with whatever it is that's annoying you or stressing you. I'm sure Fireys are like cops. They hate the fucking job, but they'll never leave.
Yep.
But they'll just whinge about it. It's, someone I know who's, had a couple of very challenging marriages by their own choice in their third marriage, and they're like, oh, well, fucking, it's a dude, it's a guy. Well, you know what women are like? I go, no, tell me what every woman on the planet's like. Oh, well, I go, just the ones you've chosen, it would appear. And it's like, this person has no fucking idea that they're the common denominator and the problem. Like they just think they're unlucky, right? If you've been in a number of whatever situations, if you've had a number of bad relationships, if you've had a number of fucking bosses that hate you, if you've had a number of whatevers, you are probably the problem. It's a bit of self-awareness.
On that question, so talking about that accountability for us as individuals, what's your thought on employing someone else to hold you accountable, even if just to get going?
I think it's awesome, right? So if it's be careful who you choose. I will never name people, but there are some fucking snake oil salesmen that I see that are in a similar space to me who are, join a men's group to fucking find your inner warrior, so you take your shirt off and you rub mud on your face and hug dudes in the bush. It's all bullshit, right? So be careful what you do. But the first step is just find a mate. Just find a guy or a girl that you fucking rate highly as your good mate and go, hey, listen, I really want to get my shit together. Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, let's do whatever. Let's take 30 days off the piss. Cool. If I want to drink, I'm going to ring you. If you want to drink, you ring me. Cool. And then there's a bit of competitive tension. If it's, like, whatever the things are, right? Find people who can teach you the skills. Like, YouTube's great. ChatGPT, there's so much shit for you about meditation, all that stuff. It's so easy. But if you try to do it on your own, it's going to be hard. Because I heard this recently and I love it. I go, if you were in a relationship with someone who lied to you as much as you lied to yourself, you would never stay. Right?
Yep.
But we fucking lie to ourselves all the time with no consequence. So if my partner lied to me the way that I lie to myself about shit, I'd be like, fuck, I'm out.
See you later.
Right? But we do it to ourselves all the time. I'm going to get up in the morning, go to the gym. Oh, no, I can't. It's too hot or cold. So we don't. And then you justify it. And then so you go, like, realise that we fucking lie to ourselves all the time. And I think getting someone to hold you accountable is great. One of the last things I want to say to you is if anything I've said to you in the last, 3 hours has fucking pissed you off and you hate me, I am talking directly to you. If you think I'm an arsehole, then you're probably not listening to this still, but then you're the problem. Because the things that I'm talking about, if you go, holy shit, I reckon that could work for me, or that's not really my thing. If you're like, fuck that guy, he doesn't know my story, I'm talking to you. Because to have a visceral reaction to something like that means there's a raw nerve that's been hit that you don't want to look at.
Yep. Excellent.
On the back of that, so if that person is still listening and they wanted to get in touch with you, whether that to tell you that,
yeah, sure,
or to work with you,
yep.
What's the best way to do that?
Best way to find me is on thestronglifeproject.com, thestronglifeproject.com, or look at the Strong Life Project on Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't do a lot of one-on-one coaching outside of my high-performance clients, but if anything I've said resonated, go to that Strong Life Project podcast. I've got 3,200 episodes. It's 10 minutes a day. It's this sort of shit. If you're struggling, you don't know where to start, send me an email to the Strong Life Project. Send me an Insta message. Anyone who listens to this, if you want some help and some advice, I'll help you. I'll jump on the phone with you for half an hour, 20 minutes or whatever. But come prepared to do the fucking work. And if you're not prepared to do the work, don't bother calling me because you're not going to enjoy the conversation. Because ultimately the reality is if you want to call me and tell me your sad story and how it's so hard for you, call your mum. I don't give a fuck about your sad story. I care about you getting some result. So if anybody wants my help, I'll help them 100%. I'll help them for free. I won't charge them a cent. It'll be a very simple conversation. I will go, are you sleeping at 8 hours? Are you meditating? Are you journaling? Are you training? Are you eating clean? Are you reading books? If you're not, fucking do that first. I had a young cop. I'll make this very brief. I had a young cop who read my book. So my book, My Dark Companion, was suicidal thoughts for years. A lot of people in our sort of communities have read it, told me it made a big difference. So like that's another thing you can go and get. It's on Audible. It's on Spotify. I think you get it for free if you've got a premium membership. It's my dulcet tones. If you listen to that book, you probably need fucking counselling. But this young kid, he's 27. Probably, I think he was 24 when I met him or something. He sends me an instant message. He goes, hello, sir. My name's blah, blah, blah. I work at blah, blah station in the cops here in Brisbane. He goes, I read your book. I think we're really similar. I would love to catch up and have a coffee with you if that's possible. And I said, yeah, mate, sure. No dramas. Come to this coffee shop. Blah, blah. He sits down opposite me. And I was looking at him and he's just like his legs bouncing around. We look similar. He's a half-baked ranger as well. I'm like, oh, my God, this kid is me at his age. And he's like, fucking ADD, bouncing around, carrying on. I said, why do you reckon? I said, why did you want to catch up with me, mate? He goes, I read your book. And he goes, I was like, that is me. I said, okay. And he goes, I don't want to be disrespectful. He goes, but I don't want to fuck my life up like you did. I said, cool, no dramas. And I said, do you drink much piss? He goes, oh, yeah. I go, so yeah, you smash yourself? He goes, yep. I said, are you bad on Tinder? He goes, no, I got a girlfriend. I said, are you on the punt? He goes, oh yeah, I'm fucking bad on the punt. I said, okay. Went through a couple of things. So it was drinking and gambling. I said, all right, here's the thing, mate. I said, go get off the piss altogether and off the punt altogether for 8 weeks. If you do that, come back and I'll help you. If you don't do that, lose my fucking number, don't call me. He's like, oh, okay. And that was like, we sort of had probably an hour's chat. So 8 weeks and 1 day later, I get a text message from me. He goes, I haven't touched a piss. I haven't gambled. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I feel fucking amazing. Comes back. He wanted to get in the dog unit. I introduced him to some guys, and it looks like he's about to get interviewed next week for a spot in the dog unit. Great kid, fucking driven. He was a semi-professional athlete. So he trained, but he hadn't done a lot of like weight training and stuff. So him and I trained in the gym together. So he become very much like a sort of surrogate son to me in some regard. So we're training together. It was awesome for me too, because I'm like, I got this kid who's 25, 6, that was a semi-professional cricket player, toured like England and India and shit. Like he's talented athlete, which I am not, and we're doing pull-ups and weights and stuff that he's not good at. And but he's a great runner. He goes, oh, we should go for a run. I go, no fucking way in the world. I go, I'm 99 kilos and 54 years of age. I don't run. I said, I do sprints, I do stairs. I'm not doing 10Ks. He goes, but I'm really good at running. I go, it sucks to be you. So we're doing weights and we're doing bench or we're doing pull-ups or whatever, and it didn't matter. But what he did, I did better. I was probably 30% on weights and just pushed. It was pushing us. It was great. And he moves. We haven't trained as much in the last few weeks. But I'm like, even that stuff, like surround people with you. Surround yourself with people that are going to push you. So this kid, like every time we went to train, I was like, fuck him, I'm not losing. And he's like, he'd be like, he goes, I'm going to fucking catch you. I go, there's no chance you're going to catch me, mate. I said, I'm twice your age and you're never catching me. So it's even gaming little things like that, right? But he was a great example of a dude. He came to me and I said, do this. Do not fucking ring me back if you don't do that. And he did it. And I do that with people all the time. You know, other people will message me, go, oh my God, I really need to catch up with you. I go, cool, give me a call in 3 weeks. 95% of them I never hear from again. Because I go, you're in pain today. You just want somebody to hold your hand and say it's going to be okay. I don't give a fuck. Go talk to a psychologist every week for the next 3 years and you can gently talk about your feelings. I think there's amazing work psychologists do. I'm not being sarcastic. But that's not me. If you want my help, I will talk to you. We will pull the fucking roots, the problem out by the roots. It will be painful. You're not going to enjoy it. Do the work. If you're not prepared to do that, go find someone who's going to be more gentle. But I will help them.
Awesome. Have you got anything else, Chanda?
Oh, only, for the listeners, basically, mate, on behalf of us anyway, thanks, unfortunately, for having to ride that journey that you did, but turning that around and paving that way for everyone else to get something from that. I mean, you busted your gut looking after the community and paid the price for that mentally, but did the work, and here you are. And it's always great chatting, mate.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. It's really gave me a purpose. Like, I feel very, very grateful to have found a purpose in something outside the job that gives me a similar ability. And, I'm not a big, like I would say I'm a spiritual person. I believe in something. I don't know what that is. But I go, fuck, if some moron like me can do what I've done, then, anybody listening to this can turn their shit around. Like it's, I'm not a smart guy by any means. And it's a lot easier to do the work than it is to live like shit for the rest of your life.
Definitely.
Too good.
Excellent.
Thanks so much for your time and
My
also
pleasure,
your
brother.
vulnerability too, mate.
Yeah.
I just want to make like a mention of that. Fucking awesome.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please show your support by subscribing, liking and rating the podcast on your listening and social media platforms. We are always looking to improve what we do. If you have feedback, suggestions for further guests, topics, or would like to be a guest yourself, please contact us via Instagram.